Welcome to the RutPOP Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Zach Rutledge, along with our other host, Brandon Rutledge.
What's up, everybody?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. You?
I'm spectacular.
Spectacular. That's a good word.
I'm spectacular.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm peachy. Sometimes I'm spectacular. Currently, right now, I am spectacular.
Spectacularly fabulous.
Spectacularly fabulous. We got a live stream going today.
How's it holding?
The stream is holding well.
Nice.
The stream is holding well. So we'll see how it goes.
Sweet.
Again, we are dealing with Comcast and Xfinity, and with them, it is a crapshoot, and you never know.
Okay.
You never know. So it is what it is. It is.
Well, I hope it holds up.
I just want one powerful stream.
One powerful stream.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just don't cross the streams.
Well,
I think we've already been there. Right?
At this point, I'd play swords with our streams just so I could get a more powerful stream. Whatever, you know.
So do cross the streams.
I would, you know. Hey, even Egon was like, we crossed the stream. Like he finally had a come to Jesus moment about crossing the streams.
Yeah. Because
he knew that was the only way to get a more powerful stream. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Thanks, Harold Ramis.
Thank you, Harold Ramis. May you rest in peace. So I don't know why I'm jumping off of this from that to this, but
it kind of makes sense. Talking about Ghostbusters, because they kind of did a reboot.
Oh, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God! Please calm the hell down, you overachiever.
We're not getting into.
We will get into reboots and remakes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but this just popped in there, and that was why. Like that was the thing. That was like it. What do you mean it just popped in there? Like that was where the Ghostbuster thing popped in. Anyway, whatever. We're just we're all over the freaking map at this point. Okay,
yeah.
So next week, Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah.
Hitting both theaters and VOD release. We talked about last week. You will not go to the theater yet. You don't feel comfortable yet.
No, I'm not comfortable going to the theater.
Which is totally understandable. Fine. Are you going to be getting Bill and Ted on VOD?
That's already pre-ordered.
Already pre-ordered. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what platform did you get it through then?
It's on Apple, iTunes, whatever.
Okay. Now, is that a rental or is that a purchase?
It's a purchase.
It is are you sure?
Yeah, $24.99 purchase.
It is a $24.99 purchase. Okay.
I mean, it says pre-order.
I was concerned.
I'm assuming it's not a pre-order for rental.
I was concerned by some of the stuff I was reading today that it was a $24.99 rental.
Okay, that'll piss me off.
Like a 48-hour rental. I don't know.
It didn't say that.
It just said pre-order.
It just said pre-order.
But it didn't specify.
It didn't specify. I will not be happy if it's a rental.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you, I'm a little concerned. I just realized
I am now. I wasn't.
You weren't until I brought it up, and now you're
thanks.
like, sorry. Let's see what happens when shit just pops in there.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry for the language already. We're already cussing because honestly, I was in the same boat. I was like, first of all, I'm going to be traveling anyway, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it to a theater regardless. But when it comes out, I mean, but then I started reading a little bit about it because like Fandango was like doing some pre-orders and stuff like that. I was like, well, that's kind of weird that they would be doing. And then the more I kept reading about it, the more it kind of kept insinuating that that it could be a rental.
Really?
And so now I am concerned.
Huh.
Now I am concerned.
Yeah, I'll be asking for a refund in that if that's the case.
Yeah. You know what? Hold that thought real fast. Let's come back to this conversation in a second. I just realized we already have our first issue that I need to take care of.
We have issues?
We have issues.
Okay.
You need some tissues.
I have.
Because we have issues.
I need tissues?
Yes.
For this issue?
So give me 1 second. I'm not even going to mute the mics. I'm just going to close the feed for a second.
Closing the feed.
Closing the feed for just a second.
What does that mean?
There's a be right back page up.
Oh, gotcha.
And I just realized that my light turned off.
Huh.
and that's going to bother the hell out of me.
Is it?
And so, by God, we're going to fix it.
Batteries died.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh no, it's upside down. We did it! And hopefully the music's going to play again.
Really?
Yeah. That's okay.
Okay.
We're just going to start this over again.
Okay.
We're going to pretend like that never happened. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
And go. You know what? I'm not going to do that. We're just going to kill the music. I thought it'd be funny.
We're not going to do a take two?
They're not going to do take two. We're not take two. You can't take two. You're live, baby.
Clapboard.
Yeah, clapboard. Just F it. We'll do it live. That's what we always say. Just whatever.
All right.
Cares?
Roll with it.
Roll with it. We roll with it. Anyway, so yeah. So I meant to check before we got on air to verify that it was a rental only and not a pre-order purchase.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure how to do that. Like, I'm not even sure where to go to check. Like, if they are, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they're trying to kind of, sneak one by you, you know what I mean? Like, just kind of putting the pre-order thing out there, thinking
if they sneak one by me,
you're gonna lose.
I'm gonna be upset.
You are gonna lose it.
A little angry.
Absolutely, I get it. I'm pulling it up on my phone right now because I want to see.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion to you. is to check it out on iTunes and see.
That's what
what's
I'm gonna
up.
do.
Because I could have just sworn it said pre-order $24.99. Because earlier during quarantine, I don't feel like it was like that.
Right, that's I know. Excellent Adventure. Face the music. Here it is. Pre-order. Expected August 28th. Information. It's an hour and 31 minutes long.
But it doesn't say anything whether it's a rental or a purchase.
It does not.
Why would they do this to me?
You know what? I'm gonna Google it. It's worth a Google.
Yeah, I would say so.
Speaking of which, have you ever watched?
I was extremely excited when I saw it was pre-ordered. I was like, ooh, pre-order now.
Did I ever show you the if Google was a guy?
If Google was a guy, no.
One of my viewers sent me this video. If Google was a guy, and it's like College Humor produced these series of videos. If Google was a guy, and basically it's a real person sitting in a room answering all of these Google inquiries. And instead of like just reading notes, like people come in and verbalize what it is they type, and you realize just how awful when you Google something, what you're typing, that Google has to decipher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's very well done. Like I love it. So I'm typing in is Bill and Ted
face the music.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll go face the music, a rental only.
Because they put the movie and the soundtrack on. They uploaded them to iTunes at the same time. Like you could pre-order both of them.
Okay. 1 day ago.
Yeah.
1 day ago, CNET.com is reporting Bill and Ted Face the Music arrives on streaming services Friday, August 28th, and you can pre-order the movie right now. A few things to keep in mind. This is a rental, not a purchase.
Okay. I'm going to have to log into my account and ask for a refund because it was not clear on iTunes.
I don't know how long the rental goes for. I'm assuming 48 hours.
Yeah, I think that's what iTunes rentals
normally
are, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want you to like...
I mean, I really want to see it. I don't mind paying $25 for it, but I would want that $25 for multiple viewings.
We'll go back to the Mulan thing that Disney's doing. That's a $30 license.
Yeah, I would much rather pay an extra $5 to, be able to watch it over and over.
Absolutely.
Throughout the rest of my lifetime.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, like that's a misstep, man.
I agree.
I'm not spending $25 on that to rent that.
Yeah,
at home.
I mean, I've been extremely excited about it. I wanted to be there day one, to see it in theaters,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really feel safe doing that.
Right.
And I still want to see it on
And you're
opening
almost,
day, but I don't want to pay $25.
You're almost being punished because of it, because you don't feel safe going.
Yeah, because I
Realistically.
don't feel safe, I don't feel safe going.
Yeah, I get it.
Sitting in a room festering with people who may or may not have had COVID-19.
That bums me out, man. That really bums me out.
Yeah. Need to take a deep breath and breathe.
Breathe.
Woosah.
Zen how woosah. So we have a question.
Okay. Shoot.
Who is older? Now we don't want to answer this.
Huh?
Somebody's asking which one of us is older.
Which one of us is older?
And I actually want to I want to flip that back around to you and say, which one do you think is older? Huh?
That's the question.
Who are you going to make mad?
Flip a coin. You got a 50-50 chance.
Keep in mind, he's already pissed. Let's just throw that out there right now.
And I know I probably look older.
Yeah.
Because I have less hair on my head.
And you win. They think you're older.
They think I'm older.
Yes.
I'm younger.
I am actually older. I am hitting the big 4-0
in a few weeks.
Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. That's crazy.
40 years old, dude.
Yeah. It's wild.
Oh my God.
40 trips around the sun.
Jesus. That hurts my brain.
Right?
That just absolutely hurts my brain. What was I going to ask?
I'll be 40 in December.
So, and you'll be 40 in December. Yeah. We're not like terribly far apart.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we both
3 months apart.
Right. We both basically, grew up in the same era and everything, which is why we really appreciate a lot of the same stuff, about pop. I just now noticed your shirt.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal. Can you guys see his shirt? Like, just kind of turn a little bit towards your camera. That is, dude, I like that.
Yeah.
Where'd you find that?
I don't know. Groot shirt.
I was like, where are you going with this?
Groot shirt.
So that's phenomenal, dude.
Yeah, I know.
And they say it's not all about the hair either. Apparently,
it's not about the hair.
It's not about the hair. Apparently, you just look older.
I just seem. I feel.
You feel older. You seem older.
I project.
You project.
I project. Older.
Grumpy old man.
I am a grumpy old man.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Oh, Ryan, don't. Come on, dude. Like, you're killing him here. He already lost his Bill and Ted. He already lost it.
Stop reminding me.
Little Nick is in the house. What's up, little Nick? How you doing, man? I was telling our boy Brandon here, who apparently looks a lot older than me, that about the if Google was a guy thing. And,
yeah, I need to check it out.
I got to show it. I was actually trying to look it up and find it.
Oh yeah,
just because it's freaking hilarious.
So is it something that we could show on the air?
I honestly don't know. We'd probably get a copyright strike for it. I'll probably have to show it to you off air.
Okay,
offline. It's worth it. Like, it's totally worth it.
5 minutes later.
It's like, yeah, like all of them. Honestly, I think the one that little Nick sent me, because it was little Nick the one that sent it to me. The one he sent me, it was all of them combined, and it was like a 10-minute long rip of things. Totally worth it.
That's hilarious.
Like, just absolutely totally worth it. So you gotta check it out for sure. Got to check it out.
Okay. Fair enough. Have you checked out the Trump one that I told you about, the Funny or Die?
Oh, with Johnny Depp?
Yeah, the one of Johnny Depp playing Trump.
I started to watch it. I gotta be honest, like, it was so old. Like, he was playing him very much like a long. It was like,
yeah, he's playing a version of him from the 80s.
80s, yeah. So
yeah, it's hilarious.
It was. I was like, whatever. Anyway, so what are you gonna do about Bill and Ted then? You just not gonna see it?
I guess I'll have to boycott this $24.99 rental crap, and
I just wonder if there's anything
bite the bullet and wait until it's comes out at a decent price for ownership.
I wonder how long it'll be before it. Like, that's the other bit of information. They're being so sketchy with like how things are working.
Yeah, they are
on the VOD side of things now. Like, you don't know. You don't know what you're going to need to do.
At least at the beginning of quarantine, they were telling you like this is $24.99 to see The Invisible Man. It's a rental,
right?
Like they were upfront about it. This one was not. It was like secretive. They didn't tell you what it was.
Right.
I assumed it was for purchase.
So what? Let's see.
I guess that's shame on me for assuming, but what the heck?
I'm still trying to sit here and look this stuff up and figure out if I can figure out any of this information, because I feel awful that we don't know.
Because I looked at it on my phone, and I also looked at it on Apple TV. I looked at it in two different spots.
Right.
And it looked like a purchase to me.
Does not say it.
It looked like a purchase to me.
Yeah, it does not specify anywhere in there that it's a rental on iTunes. Like, literally, that's Apple being shady.
Yeah.
That's 100% Apple being shady.
Yeah, not
now,
cool, Apple.
If you go to other places like Fandango or whatever, it may specify that it's got, rental, like this is a rental or whatever. But thank God for CNET for telling, saying, like, at least, coming up. Because again, here's the deal. You would have it would have come through. You would have watched it opening night, and then
$25.
And then you would have watched it. You would try to go back on a week later and watch it again, and it wouldn't be there.
Yeah, that would.
And you would have been like, "What the hell's happening?"
Yeah, I would be upset, then instead of now.
Right, you'd be upset then.
Right.
I apologize that I upset you live on.
What can you do about it?
On thing. Anyway, I'll figure it out, and I will get back to everybody. We'll tweet it out and let everybody know, because Again, I go back to this is the smart move by Disney. Everybody, and I still feel like Disney kind of tested the waters a little bit, because when they made their announcement about Mulan being $30, they did not specify either, right? It wasn't until a day later, full 24 hours later.
I remember that.
And they were like kind of testing the waters, I feel like. What's the overall feedback?
Sticking their toe in.
So here's the question about that, right? Now that you know what it is, and it's a lifetime license, and as long as you have Disney Plus, right?
Yeah.
It's a lifetime license. And they basically created a whole new, I don't know if you've seen the release or not, but they basically created a whole new like platform inside the platform called Premiere, Disney Plus Premiere. Okay. And that's where they're going to put it, right? So now knowing that, and we went through the numbers last time that, like, if they go 50% of their subscriber base, they're in the $800 million range. Right?
Yeah, it's big time bucks for Disney.
Do you go ahead and release Black Widow?
Oh, the Scarlett Johansson spinoff.
Yes.
I don't know.
I would.
I haven't been following that. I mean, it's Disney, right? I mean, why wouldn't they?
I 100% would.
Okay.
I 100% would, because then all of a sudden you could potentially tap in. I can't imagine anybody that's into the Marvel movies not already owning Disney Plus. But you could potentially just grab just that little extra bit of subscriber base, plus, lock them in for 3 years, right?
Right. Yeah. Get them interested.
Get them in for 3 years.
Yeah. Pull them in.
Pull those last bits of people that you have, right?
Yeah.
And then hit them with another $30 charge for Black Widow. That movie's making $800 million.
I mean,
in a pandemic. $800 million.
There's no question. Do it.
To me, that's exactly my point. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
That's what you do, right?
Yeah.
100% release Black Widow that way. And I do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? Or I do it whatever.
Yeah.
But right now they have it slated for November in theaters. We don't know what things are going to be like in November.
Yeah, no, the flu could be really bad this year too.
Right.
Who knows?
Exactly. Well, at that point, you're not even going to know what the heck to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're coming up on flu season, folks.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse. Whatever. So yeah, I mean, I would 100%, any of those properties right now, they're still making their money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, I mean, I don't know what Black Widow was going to make worldwide.
I don't either. I haven't really been following that one.
That was, to me, that was a hard sell. Like it came out so much later than it really should have.
Right.
Like it just, so I was, but you release it this way.
But I mean, if it had come out a few years ago, I don't know if people would be as interested in it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been.
You don't think so?
Personally, I wouldn't have been. I'll see it.
Yeah.
But if it had come out 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago,
right,
I probably wouldn't have.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have paid much attention to it unless it got like rave reviews or something.
Sure.
Then I probably would have been interested in it.
Right.
But, just a standalone Black Widow movie. To me, she's perfect as a sidekick.
Side character.
Yeah, side character. She doesn't need her own standalone movie.
Yeah.
But prove me wrong. I don't know.
I mean, Hawkeye's not getting his own movie; he's getting a
series. Yeah, that's
right.
Cool.
And I'm cool with that. I mean, you can't really do that with Black Widow because of what happened. The way the movie went down, the way the last movie went down. And I get that. I don't know. I'm not sure what you. I honestly, I don't know. The reason they're making a movie is because there was such a massive screaming going on for one.
Right.
For so many years. They wanted her to be the first female-led Marvel movie, not Captain Marvel. And I think that's where they dropped the ball.
I mean, I've heard, people that I know talk about, wanting to see one and hoping they would do one. And I was always just like, take it or leave it.
Right.
To me, she's okay as a side character.
Right. Yeah. I get it.
Not that I don't want to see, more Scarlett Johansson movies or, or more, female-driven, female-centric, female directors. That would be awesome. Mm-hmm. That's just not a character that I've ever been excited about, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I get it. Anyway.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
If Disney's listening, please, God, go ahead and release Black Widow on Disney Plus Premiere. You're going to make $800 million. I don't know how much that movie cost to make. Like I haven't seen the budget.
I'm sure they'll recoup it.
You don't have honestly, you don't even have to do think about at this point again, this is what's been kind of weird about things too. Obviously with the pandemic is think about how much movie advertisements have just ceased to exist because nothing's coming out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you were just bombarded with, especially during the summertime, with movie trailers on TV.
Yeah.
All over the internet and everything like that. That was you couldn't turn on anything without being bombarded with stuff. So if I was Disney,
it was like a ghost town,
right?
This past summer,
and that cost them money. That costs money for them to advertise, on TV and different things. It's like now you don't even have to. You could even if your own subscriber base, word's going to get out. Number one, that it's coming out, but even on your own platform, you can put a banner up that say, hey, click here for, whatever being released on, September 28th or something, you know what I mean? Something like that. Right.
So do you feel like Hollywood is essential business during a time like this, during a time of panic and shutdown? Do you feel like it's essential to keep Hollywood up and running?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I even go back to the Great Depression.
Sure.
Where obviously we didn't live through it, but even they had movies.
Yeah.
They had theater. They had sports. And a lot of that helped people just forget their problems, escape a little bit.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that. We've had some online streaming stuff and some things have been released and everything like that. But when everything came to a screeching halt in Hollywood, if whatever could still be done was trying to be done, but for the most part, all, series and everything, they all just kind of stopped. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm a little biased because I don't work in Hollywood, but I work in the TV world and I kind of want to work, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I get I want to do stuff and I understand the sensitivity to, being careful. Even when we go on shoots now, we all mask up. We all try to keep as much of a distance as we can from each other. It's not, you got to realize, in the industry that we do, the things that we have to do, sometimes it's almost impossible to realistically constantly keep a 6-foot distance between you and the person you're working with. It's just impossible. But even in the TV truck, we have plexiglass dividers up between our seats. So we're kind of enclosed in little booths.
Interesting.
Okay. And we wear masks the entire time and, you know what I mean? Things like that. So it would be more difficult and it would slow some things down to continue to work, to keep pushing out TV and movies and,
Yeah.
But I think you keep an industry running, which is kind of nice if you're able to do it. And then you have the outlets to push content out, right? You have streaming services to push content out. And I think you just have to be smart about it. What they're doing with who is it? Orion is doing with Bill and Ted. Like, that's not smart. That's not smart business.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to make a lot of people mad. And if word starts to spread when it gets closer to the 28th that this movie is a rental only, people are going to jump ship. They're not going to do it. They're going to wait for it to actually come out, like whenever they release it 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Exactly. To buy. Like, they're not going to leave it on video on demand for 3 months. Nobody's going to buy it. Like, it's going to get forgotten within a week.
Yeah.
Right. So honestly, at this point, you ought to just come out with it and make it $30 and let people buy it.
Yeah.
You're going to, I mean, I don't know how much that movie was going to make. Again, I don't have, forget pandemic, how much that movie was going to make in the box office.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how big I know my nostalgia level for Bill and Ted is huge.
Right.
I've been excited about it. I've been following this story for years.
Right.
I'm the audience,
right.
For this movie. I grew up loving those Bill and Ted movies.
Right.
I think they were on TBS all the time, or TNT, one of those channels. They were on there. They were all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, like over and over.
I got bored with the second one.
I
could never really get through
the first
one.
One's much better than the second one. Yeah, but the music in the second one's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great soundtrack.
I don't even remember it, to be honest with you.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
What music was in it?
I mean, it was like early '90s grunge type.
Okay.
And mixed with early '90s metal, late '80s metal.
Okay.
So kind of think like Wayne's World. If you wrap up Wayne's World into a soundtrack,
was it popular music?
Yeah, some of it.
Okay.
Primus was on there, and I think Megadeth, like the stuff that like Beavis and Butthead would listen to.
Okay.
was on the Bill and Ted Bogus Journey soundtrack.
Nice.
Yeah. I think what was their little friend who what shirt did he wear?
Beavis and Butthead?
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead, they had a little friend, and they would make fun of him all the time.
It wasn't Todd, was it?
Yeah, I think it was Todd.
Was it Todd?
Todd, yeah.
Okay.
Can you remember the band on his shirt?
No, was it Primus?
No, it was Random Trivia. I can't remember. I can't remember it either. But that band is on the Bill and Ted 2 soundtrack.
Gotcha.
It's not Weezer. It's like it's something like that.
I wonder what that was.
I don't remember.
Weezer.
I'm gonna have to Google it now.
You have to Google it now.
Yeah.
Now that it's in your head.
Now that it's in my head, I got to Google it.
Nice. It's worth a Google.
Just because of Beavis and Butthead, they always used to make fun of him, like for wearing this T-shirt.
Did you ever see The Campaign?
The Campaign
With Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that movie's fun.
That's our jam during election time. Instead of watching like debates and stuff on TV, we just turn on The Campaign and watch The Campaign.
That's funny. Yeah, your wife's a big Will Ferrell fan, right?
Oh, she's a huge Will Ferrell fan. Did you watch Eurovision on Netflix?
Eurovision.
It just came out.
The one with Rachel McAdams?
Yes.
I did.
I love that movie.
Do you?
Oh my God, it's so funny. And it's sweet too. Like, it's a nice, like by the end of it, like it leaves you with a good feeling.
They finally fall in love.
Yeah. And the music was fun. Like everything about that movie was just fun for me. And
it was silly.
It's a Will Ferrell movie.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, even Stranger Than Fiction is still silly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still a great movie. I love Stranger Than Fiction.
I don't know if I've ever seen it all the way through.
Really?
What was that?
That was, I believe we got a follower.
Really?
I don't know who it was.
Oh, thank you for following.
I'm waiting for it to populate.
Populate?
Populate.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know who it was. It has not populated yet. Anyway, whoever you were, thank you for the follow. So anyway, I don't know how to do this. I want to look at this Thundercats thing you brought, which I think is hilarious. Now, did I send you the video of the Thundercats?
What video?
So somebody recreated the what's up, Steve? How you doing? Somebody created or recreated the Thundercats Open, right?
Uh-huh.
But with like amazing CGI.
Huh.
It's
cool.
It's phenomenal. It's on our Facebook page. If you go RutPOP Podcast on Facebook, it's on there.
Okay.
But I just think I thought maybe I sent it to you, which is why you brought this.
No,
you brought this over.
That my mom sent me that in the mail this week, along with a bunch of other stuff from when I was a kid.
Yeah, I wish I had my top down.
Thanks,
camera.
Mom. I love you.
I wish I had my top down camera going, but like we've got the Thundercats.
Yeah, we
Live.
need a document camera. Or something.
Yeah, well, that's what that is up there. But I don't have it.
Oh, nice.
I don't have it hooked up. So anyway, so we got the Thundercats Live. But here's my favorite part. It's Thundercats Live featuring Thundercats, Silverhawks, and their special friends, Gumby and Pokey.
Yeah, and the street frogs.
Like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying?
That
Like
hip hop group, the Street Frogs.
Can I show this here? Can we
Go for it.
Can we see this? Let's move it in here.
Panthro cracks me up.
Oh my God, Panthro! Like look at freaking Panthro. Look at this. What the what the absolute? Hold on. Here's Panthro. There's Panthro. Seriously, Panthro. What the hell? My God. I can't even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Winger. Winger was the name.
Winger. That's right.
I wanted to say Weezer, but I knew it wasn't Weezer. Winger.
Well, that's the thing. I thought it was like a W thing. Look at these. Look at these guys. Look at these guys. Fierce. Ho. Anyway, I freaking love this. I love this. We've got another question from.
So here's the soundtrack. It looks exactly like the movie. Pre-order. But I guarantee you the soundtrack is not a rental.
No, not at all. You don't rent that.
Yeah, so why would they make the movie so similar? Sorry, we're back to Bill and Ted's Face the Music.
We're back to Bill and Ted's Face the Music. Yeah.
So iTunes, they released the soundtrack and the movie at the same time for purchase of the soundtrack and rental of the movie. But it's unclear on the movie that you're buying a rental.
Spoilers. There's a track on here called Rufus Lives.
Huh.
Don't tell me they CG'd
Carlin? No, there's no way. If they did anything, they probably would have used like old footage or something. I can't imagine that they would.
That'd be weird. I want to
recreate Rufus
in a time travel based movie. I wondered how they would get around this idea of Rufus not being around.
His daughter is the one that comes to visit him. Rufus's daughter.
Really?
Yeah, because Bill and Ted have daughters.
Well, I knew that.
I knew that. And one of them was played by Samara Weaving, and she is an amazing actress.
Yes.
Great young
Hugo's
actress.
daughter, right?
Hugo's daughter, yeah. Hugo Weaving's daughter. Great actress. She's gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if she was an Oscar winner one day.
I know I've seen her in other stuff. I just can't think what the hell it is.
Yeah, she was in that Hide and Go Seek movie.
Panthro. Look at freaking Panthro. Look at that head they gave him.
It's like a helmet.
What the hell is that?
Helmet head.
Oh my God. Tigra. Jesus, yeah. Tigra. Good God. Anyway,
awesome.
What was his daughter in?
Oh, that Hide and Go Seek movie. Not Catch Me If You Can. Oh gosh. What do you say when you're counting?
When you're counting?
Yeah, Hide and Go Seek. Ready or Not, Here I Come. It's called Here I Come.
Here I Come. Oh, okay.
Or something like that. Or,
gotcha.
No, Ready or Not. It's called Ready or Not.
Ready or Not.
Okay, it's a horror movie. Samara Weaving's in it. She does a great job.
Gotcha. Ryan.
She was also on Ash vs. the Evil Dead, the series.
Okay, maybe that's where I've seen her.
Probably.
Maybe that's where it is. Because she looks just like him.
Yeah.
Ryan would like to know.
Oh, and she was on that cheerleader movie. It's kind of like Adventures in Babysitting. It was a straight to Netflix movie. She plays the babysitter. I think it's called The Babysitter, and she plays like a cheerleader who's babysitting this kid, and this kid is like early teens, and he has a crush on her. Mm-hmm. It's a silly horror movie too.
Ryan would like to know who is taller.
Who is taller?
Yeah,
that's me.
Of course. I'm a short little turd, man. Check this. I can't even see what I'm doing. That right there That is some.
I can't see what you're doing either.
I can't see what I'm doing, but just look. I'm just gonna kind of. I'm
That's
peeking.
the that's the Thundercats live.
Look at this. Look at that.
The entire cast. The Silverhawks.
Oh my!
The Street
God.
Frogs. Pokey and Gumby.
God. Pokey and Gumby. What the absolute?
Oh, and don't forget the Karate Cat.
The Karate Cat. Like that's the. I mean, what?
It's the Street Frogs, man.
With the Street Frogs, like what? Like
it's that famous hip hop group.
Like
you don't remember that famous hip hop group?
This show. You remember that famous hip hop group?
The Street Frogs.
The streetwise hip hop rapping Street Frogs. The super cool, super slick Dr. Slick is the leader of the group. Loretta with her dreams of becoming a star, and the handsome Moose the Loose is who always looking for the easy route. All share the big dream, putting together a group and hitting the big time.
There he is, the Karate Cat.
The Karate Cat, baby. Hold on.
Karate Cat.
Karate Cat. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
The show and
awesome.
tell. Your mom just needs to keep sending more stuff out of the abyss.
Yeah, right?
My mom doesn't keep any of these things. She throws
Really?
them all away. I don't have anything from my childhood anymore. There he is, Lion-O and Gumby.
Yep, the dream team.
The dream team that you never thought you needed, but
Lion-O and Gumby.
Lion-O and Gumby. I mean, just what the...
No, if you notice, Gumby's on roller skates.
Oh my God,
You remember on the Gumby claymation?
Oh, yeah.
He would like skate around. So, of course, the live-action Gumby.
Oh, gee whiz.
They couldn't do Thundercats on ice.
My God.
But they could put Gumby on roller skates.
I can't even. I want to find who did the. They have a bunch of people listed in the back, so I want to see who did the.
Yeah, the cast.
Who's the costume designer? Oh, forget the cast. I want to know who the costume designer is.
Costume.
Staff costume design. Philip Dennis.
Philip Dennis. Bravo, my friend.
Bravo.
The
cast. I don't think it's anybody we know.
No. I was curious. I checked. And didn't recognize any names at all. I was hoping for like that one, odd celebrity to be at Thundercats Live in 1987.
Would you? Let's see here. Would you? Do you think a?
I love the Kawasaki ad in the back.
I didn't even look at the ad.
Kawasaki. Some kids grow up faster than others. Ride a motorcycle. Buy your kids a motorcycle. Take them to see Thundercats Live.
That's right. That's how that works.
Buy it.
Do
it now.
Would you? Do you think a Thundercats movie would work?
I mean, they tried to do that reboot, the reboot cartoon.
I forget the reboot cartoon, like an actual like a live action movie,
a live action Thundercats. I check
think
it
about,
out.
Think about how bad Cats was received.
I haven't seen Cats. I haven't seen Cats. It's so bad. I'm interested.
My business partner, he tried to watch it on the plane when we flew out to Denver.
Really?
And he said he got about 5 minutes into it and had to shut it off.
Yeah. I mean, it looks horrible. And
I wonder if it's like one of those movies
like
that's
horribly bad,
so bad, like
that you just laugh the whole time because it's so bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it. I'm sure one of these days I'll get around to it, and hopefully I'll laugh my ass off.
Have you seen the trailer for the butthole cut?
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, so somebody was like
they like CGI'd in the buttholes.
They put all the buttholes back in the cats. I would watch the butthole cut.
Butthole cut.
And no, we're not talking about Justice League.
Zack Snyder?
The Zack Snyder cut. The butthole cut.
The Zack Butthole Snyder cut.
The Zack Butthole Snyder cut. Oh my God, this has gone off the rails so fast.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I was thinking about that though with like the CGI thing with that, and I just kept thinking to myself because they are making a live action He-Man movie on top of an animated series. They're doing another animated series. Kevin Smith's doing the animated series.
Masters of the Universe, He-Man,
right?
Whatever. Because they have a She-Ra reboot on Netflix,
right?
And I think I may have watched the first episode, but I've heard it's good. I've heard that it has decent stories.
I couldn't get into it. I tried. Really? I tried. I was big on the Voltron. Did you do the whole Voltron?
I watched the first season, maybe the second season. I liked it.
I'm in love with that Voltron.
I liked it. I need to keep going, but I just haven't got around to it.
I'm 100% in love with that Voltron series. They did such a good job with it, and it was a limited, like, we're going to do this little bit and we're done, like, kind of thing. It was a limited series, and they nailed it. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, I need to finish it.
Ryan would like to know what your favorite movie is.
Gosh,
it's so hard. We've gone over this before, Ryan. Like it's,
I'd have to probably make a list of like 50 movies.
It's really hard. Like
and that list would constantly be evolving. Those 50 movies would change from day to day. Like
we've gone over it. We've literally like I've said, gun to your head, what would you pick? And I think both of us kind of agreed, like, shoot me in the face, because
it's too hard to pick.
It's really
I love Star Wars, the original New Hope. I love The Last Jedi. I love Apocalypse Now. Gosh,
that is the first time you've mentioned that, actually.
Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm.
I
kind of never popped up in any of the other conversations we've had about this.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Apocalypse Now is one of my favorite films.
Really?
Yeah, I love that movie. The Redux. I love the Redux.
Okay.
It's a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Love that movie. I mentioned it a little bit when we.
You talked about the soundtrack. You didn't.
Yeah,
talk about
when we were talking about the synthesizer soundtrack.
Right.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. Love that movie.
I mean, Star Wars shaped my life.
Same here.
Without Star Wars, I probably wouldn't even have personally considered pursuing something in a career of video, television, or movies.
Star Wars, Back to the Future, Karate Kid.
Well, Jaws for me is my second. Like
Jaws.
Like it's always like literally it can always be between Star Wars and Jaws. Like those are the two that kind of shaped my life.
I absolutely love Jaws.
So it's kind of they're tied. They're 1A and 1B. Yeah. And on any given day, it depends on what I talked about this just whatever it was in July. I watched the 40th anniversary of Jaws. Is that right? Is that math right?
Yeah.
45th.
It was 74, right?
70. Oh God.
Or 75.
75. 45th.
Okay.
45th anniversary, and I just remember I love that. Like it was it was like the last thing I had. It was such a busy day that day, but it was like I'm not leaving today without watching that today. Kind of thing.
I love Jaws. I need to force you to watch the Venture Brothers Jaws episode. After this. It's hilarious. I can't remember what episode it is, but I think it's like in season 7, episode 2, maybe something like that. Another favorite movie. I really like Looper. It's a more recent sci-fi movie that I really enjoy. Just movies I can watch over and over.
Right.
There's so many.
Right.
It's hard to pick just one from.
It's one like to me the favorite movie is always the one if you were still able to or were channel flipping, right? Channel flipping has kind of been dying off more and more these days, right?
Yeah.
But back in the day when you would channel flip and you would land, like you would come by something and you couldn't go past it.
Yeah, I mean I have that with a ton of movies. Like if I were surfing channels right now and I came across like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead or something stupid like that, I would have to like sit there.
You would sit and watch that?
I would sit and finish Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. It's just stupid stuff like that. I would in that example, there's a bunch that I would stop on.
All right. I would not
but favorite movies.
I would not stop on
Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I've probably seen that movie like 20 times in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I was a kid, I used to watch it all the time.
Right. I mean,
the dishes are done, man.
But like Elon Stark here has a good point, and this really applies to you. You have such a love for old cinema, Kurosawa, Hitchcock. Like, where did those start to rank in your favorites? You really like a lot of Japanese anime too, though. That kind of hit like Spirited Away, kind of.
Very true. Princess Mononoke.
Princess Mononoke, like.
I mean, that would probably make my top 5 list every day.
Yeah.
Princess Mononoke probably be in there. I really love Nausicaa. That's another favorite of Miyazaki.
Yeah.
I love a lot of world cinema. I watch. It's an Italian movie called The Great Beauty. I watch that a lot.
Okay.
Let's see. Another one I watch over and over is I like Drive. That director who did Drive, I can't remember his name. It's like Nicholas Winding Refn, I think, is his name. Mm-hmm. He did another one called Bronson. I enjoy Bronson. I like his. It'd probably be easier for me to pick my favorite directors, than my favorite movie.
Your favorite director? Well, yeah. Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I just, again, it's hard. I get it. It's hard. So you got to help me out with this though. So,
and I really like Casablanca. I really like Citizen Kane. Yeah, those are some favorites. Sunset Boulevard was one of my favorites. Yeah.
Medicine Angela is in the house. Hi, Medicine Angela.
What's up?
So help me out with this. Ryan's trying to tell me a movie here, and I can't. I'm sorry. It's not ringing. Beethoven.
Beethoven?
Oh, the dog.
Like the dog.
Oh, the dog.
The
The
dog.
dog is your favorite. Okay. I was like, what is that? I was like looking at it. I was trying, because he was like, I don't remember how to spell it. I was like, I get it. I was like, so I was trying to figure out what it was you were trying
Beethoven.
Beethoven. Yeah.
Beethoven.
Okay, so Beethoven.
Socrates.
So, yeah. Socrates. Again, we're going back to the Bill and Ted.
Be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other.
And party on,
dudes. God. Damn it. I'm going to end up.
I love cheesy.
I'm going to end up spending $25 on that.
80s and 90s movies.
I'm going to end up spending $25 just to rent that damn movie. I'm telling you.
And I never asked you how you felt when I forced you to watch Buckaroo Banzai.
I loved Buckaroo Banzai. Oh my God.
I never asked you. We
didn't talk about that.
Not much. I don't think we've talked about it on here anyway.
God. I love Buckaroo
but
Banzai.
yeah, after one episode, I strapped him to a chair and wouldn't let him leave. And I did this Clockwork Orange thing to his eyeballs, so he couldn't blink. And I forced him to watch Buckaroo Banzai. But yeah, I've been curious, but I just haven't asked you.
I loved Buckaroo Banzai.
Okay.
I was a big fan of Buckaroo because it was so ridiculous. And that's why I go back to Cats. I'm like, is Cats so bad it's Buckaroo Banzai? You know what I mean? Like, is it...
Or is it so great it's Buckaroo Banzai?
Or is it so great it's Buckaroo Banzai? Yeah, I don't know. Buckaroo Banzai is good. Like, and... and as someone who has suffered through Flash Gordon, like, Buckaroo Banzai is way above Flash Gordon, like way above Flash Gordon. And so that's a movie that should never be touched, in regards to reboots and remakes. It should never be touched. Let it live in its infamy. You know what I mean? It's so bad, it's good. Infamy. Buckaroo Banzai. I'm a big fan of Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah.
I really am.
The ensemble cast is great.
It's honestly, it's one of those ones where it's just fun. You get a group of people getting together. Like, that would be fun, honestly, on a live stream to do a watch party. I don't know if it hit Amazon Prime or not. Like, I'd be curious to look at Amazon Prime and see
audience reactions to that.
Oh my
movie.
God, Buckaroo Banzai is so good, dude. Like, that would be a fun, like, group thing to do. So going back to, I'm jumping around all over the place, but going back to, like,
I am too. It's cool.
It's fine. It's live, baby. So going back to the birthday thing, right? Celebrating the big 4-0 in a couple weeks is the wife was like, I really wanted to do something fun for you for your 40th. And I was like, frankly, I don't really want to celebrate being closer to death, but I get it. Like, people do or whatever. And it's a good opportunity to hang out with friends and stuff, but we're not going to get that opportunity this year. Like, it's not just me, it's everybody else been celebrating birthdays since March, right? Like, nobody's had that opportunity to really do that. So I started kicking around the idea of, like, what could we do? And now we have live platforms. I keep kicking around this idea of, like, doing, like, watch parties, like having, like, a big live stream party where we all get together, we all, get on the stream and do Zooms and FaceTimes and everything, and try to fit as many little boxes as we possibly can on my birthday and have a party that way. I just think that would be super fun.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
And then we could watch Buckaroo Banzai.
Across the Eighth Dimension.
Across the Eighth
The
Dimension.
Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
I can't remember the whole damn title.
Across the Eighth Dimension.
I cannot remember the whole title. Okay, so so speaking of 80s comedies, this is what popped into my head. So I thought it was interesting. We were last week we were already talking about Ghostbusters and the reboot that they did with the female led cast.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's a great example of a reboot.
it's a great example of a reboot. And that's why I wanted to get into this. I wanted to get into, and I'm assuming you can explain it, but they just announced this week, and this is why I decided, you know what, there's a lot of this going on. Let's have this conversation. This is a very polarizing conversation, okay, for a lot of people. But they just announced this week they are remaking Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with Will Smith and Kevin Hart.
I saw that.
Personally, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's needed.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see that movie. You know
Really?
what I'm saying? Like, because those two together, I think will be a lot of fun.
Like Tall and Short?
Yeah. Tall and short.
Tall and Short?
Yeah. Yeah. But you see my point. Like, and here's the deal with that is I feel like that movie was already not remade, but rebooted. I don't know a good way to put this one. But did you ever see Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I mean that's Plane, Trains, and Automobiles.
It's true.
Realistically,
Road movie.
I mean that's all it is. Like that's basically what it was.
Trying to get from point A to point B with a crazy person.
Right. The one dude is responsible for the other one, like having a problem. It's the same damn movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So I'd like to see Will Smith as like the crazy John Candy character.
Flip it.
Will Smith
Ooh.
is the crazy bumbling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Silly one.
Okay.
And Kevin Hart is the straight man.
That could be interesting.
I'd see that. I'd see that movie.
You'd see that movie. I would see it regardless, even if it was the other way. I like your idea. I like your idea. I think that would be an interesting way to take it.
Yeah. Flip it on its head.
Flip it on its head. I do like that idea.
Yeah. Have this big muscle-bound idiot.
Yeah. So can you explain the difference between a reboot and a remake? Do you think you're able to explain that?
I'll attempt.
Okay.
I'm going to attempt.
Let me hear your explanation of a reboot versus a remake.
So my picture for a reboot is you gave a perfect example with Ghostbusters. A reboot is a film that you don't necessarily want to change everything, but you want to change some aspects. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you know the formula works. You know that Ghostbusters works. You know that people are going to go pay money to see a bunch of people fight ghosts. And hopefully it's going to be funny, the way it was back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood knows that formula works. They're hoping everybody's going to go see it again. Pay their $20 or whatever it is they're going to shell out for that reboot, just because they know it's something that works.
Mm-hmm.
Change a few things, reboot it, send it back out there again. Whereas a remake, that would be. I'm trying to think of an example, like the Manchurian Candidate. The Manchurian Candidate is like a remake. So originally it had Frank Sinatra, and he was coming back from, I believe, the Korean War, and his buddy that he was with was brainwashed by the Manchurians, whatever. But in the update, it's Denzel Washington and Liev Schreiber. In the remake. So it's a very similar story that you're telling. It's still like, him trying to stop, his brainwashed buddy from assassinating a political figure. It's still like the same basic story.
Right.
Whereas the reboot, you're going to want to change things up. You're going to want to spice it up, add in, a new character or something to, change things around. It also the water gets kind of murky when you think about these things, because where does adaptation come into play? Because a lot of times you think about, they're rebooting Spider-Man, right? But are they really rebooting Spider-Man? Or is that an adaptation of a comic?
I feel like if it's already hit cinema at that point, it's no longer an adaptation. If it's an adaptation, I feel like it's an adaptation. The original is an adaptation from the source material, the written source material. Right?
Okay.
So the first Spider-Man movie, whenever that was, back in they did one like in the 80s or something, right?
The Spider-Man movie back in the 80s?
Didn't they, or was it a TV show?
They did it. There was like a live-action TV show like in the 70s.
Okay. So was the first Spider-Man movie the Sam Raimi one?
Yeah, the Sam Raimi was the first movie.
To me, I would consider that like an adaptation of the comic, right?
Okay.
Where, and the same thing with like the Batman movie, the Tim Burton Batman movie, the Michael Keaton Batman movie, right?
So you would consider that...
I would consider the Tim Burton Michael Keaton Batman movie an adaptation of the comic.
Comic, okay.
And then the Nolan Batman
as a reboot
is a reboot.
See, I play devil's advocate there. Because Batman Begins is an adaptation of a Frank Miller graphic novel, Batman Year One.
And that's the problem with comic books is like there's so many different storylines. Like the storylines in comic books they have little mini runs of storylines that don't fit into an overall arc, and they only last for a certain amount of, a year or two or whatever.
Sure.
And they're done. And so even comic books themselves are rebooting themselves, or I can't even say rebooting, but they're having different,
And then
stories.
The Dark Knight is an adaptation of another graphic novel, the Batman, the Long Halloween.
Right.
It's an adaptation of that.
Right.
And the third one, Batman Rises, is a remake of Rocky III. So you have two adaptations.
Right.
I struggle to call any of them a reboot. And then you have the third one as a remake.
Okay.
That would be how I would define those movies.
Okay, that's fine, and that's the thing.
So it's difficult. This is a difficult conversation to have because we don't have common language to talk about these things. So it's important to have like a level playing ground when we're talking about these things.
Because they blur the lines, and
they are.
And even the movies themselves, like when somebody sets out to make something like that, like to me the one that always seems to blur the biggest line, and maybe it's just because I can't think of anything else, but this is the one to me that stands out immediately when I start thinking about reboot versus remake, and the way let me interpret the way I interpret a reboot. A reboot is basically taking an already established IP and saying we're going to take like that name, but we're going to do something completely different with it. No, we're not going to have the same cast. We're not even probably going to have the same characters. Like if a character is in there, that it can maybe a cameo, but maybe that the character's motivations are completely different. We're going to change a lot of their story, right? Just like, again, I go back to like the Michael Keaton Batman. The Joker kills his parents as a young man, and then you go forward into the Nolan Batman, or the Christian Bale Batman, and it's not that way.
Right.
And then you go into the Snyder Batman, and it's completely not that way again. You know what I mean? So it's like boom, 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 right? So anyway, the one that stands out to me that blurs the line between remake and reboot, where a remake is almost a exact retelling of the same story with the same characters, that's remake for me.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. And to me, I think reboots need that origin story.
Sometimes.
And they're oftentimes different, or slightly different,
right?
But
because like if you look at
that, a lot of reboots they'll start with that origin. They'll reboot the origin.
Well, because if you look at Spider-Man, look at the most recent Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah,
they never really got into the like, you know what I mean? They never.
Yeah, it's just
they left the origin. And
Tony finds him. Tony Stark finds him.
And I'm cool with like the way they handled it. I thought was great because they're like, we kind of already did the origin in both. We did the origin in the Sam Raimi one. We did a different type of origin in the
Andrew Garfield.
I can't think of the director's name. Webb. Thank you.
Mark Webb.
And that was completely different versus. And then they get into the Tom Holland ones where they didn't really touched it yet. Anyway, here I still haven't delivered my movie yet. So the movie that blurs that line to me anyway between reboot and remake, because to me that's how you differentiate the two, right? Ocean's 11.
That is a perfect example.
I don't know what to call it.
It started as a film. That original Frank Sinatra one is a standalone film. It wasn't based on a previous intellectual property.
Right.
And they rebooted the film. Right.
But some people consider it a remake.
A remake. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't get that.
I don't. It's not a remake because they're not. It's not the same heist.
Right.
So it's not a remake.
But it has the same main character.
Danny Ocean.
Yeah. See what I mean? Like that's the odd part of it, right?
But
Does
you know,
it blur the-
Sinatra's Danny Ocean isn't the same as Clooney's. It's not the same character.
No. Right. I get it. I'm going to jump ahead just because we had a question about it, but this was at the bottom of my list. 80s movie that you would never want to see made as a remake or a reboot.
Back to the Future.
Or just remade in general.
Back to the Future.
Never touch Back to the Future.
No.
Okay.
They're perfect. The three they told every single story that they needed to tell in those three.
No, I got to think of something different. The one I had on my list, and it's because basically the list I have at the bottom of my notes was a list of things that I know are in the works, and I don't want them, I don't need them, and at the top of that list is Short Circuit.
Short Circuit.
I don't want it. I don't need it. I know it doesn't hold up very well.
Yeah,
but I don't want it. And apparently Zemeckis has said he will never let that happen.
Good for him.
So that's good. I've also heard Clue is being potentially remade.
It's not needed.
It's not needed. That movie is perfect.
Yeah, they explored everything they needed to explore. They had Tim Curry and Christopher Lloyd, Madeline Kahn. They had great actors,
right,
in that movie. You don't need a different ensemble.
You don't
for
need
that
it.
Movie.
There's nothing. It's
a great ensemble cast.
Here's the thing about when you start talking about a reboot, right?
Yeah,
a reboot is that the property is there. And you feel like there's more money to be had because there's interest in it outside of the cult following it may already have on video or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like Clue, I don't feel like Short Circuit has that need to do it. And frankly, if somebody and again, I don't think it doesn't matter, but I think personally, like a Back to the Future would be boycotted if it was attempted, right? But like
there's no need for it.
No, there's
a perfect movie.
There's absolutely no need for it. But then you have things like they're talking about remaking Major League.
Why?
Exactly. Or rebooting it. They're not remaking it, but rebooting it. Right?
Why?
Exactly. What's the point? Like, why?
You're not going to get better than Gina Davis and Tom Hanks. You're not going to get better than that.
No, not Tom Hanks. That's not Major League. That's Charlie
Sheen.
I'm
A League of Their Own.
League of Their Own.
Major League.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Charlie
like
Sheen.
The comedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I was picturing A League of Their Own.
No. Well, that'll be next on the list. They'll do. Here's the one that stood out to me that I thought was interesting that they're currently talking about remaking, or rebooting, not remaking, but rebooting. Ace Ventura. Why?
Yeah. Who's going to do better than Jim Carrey?
Right. I mean, it was
who?
Come on, like
name somebody. That can do better than Jim
Disney
Carrey in that
fell
role.
into the hole when they remade Aladdin and didn't have Robin Williams to come back and be the genie. You know what I'm saying? Like, love Will Smith, but dude, he's no Robin Williams.
No,
like that movie was not that good. And Disney's completely fallen into this trap. And this is what I get back to, like how this can be kind of a polarizing topic, where a lot of people, especially on the Disney IP side, they're all about their Disney movies, and they're going to see them like regardless, and they're like, oh my god, I can't wait for the live action Little Mermaid. I can wait. I don't need that movie. I don't need that movie.
Live action Little Mermaid.
Yeah, they made because again, I mean, it's like I don't know, but like they did like basically a shot for shot remake with The Lion King. Why? You know what I mean? Like, we already have an animated Lion King.
Right.
Why did we need another one that just is different types of animation?
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to
don't.
me. Right? We don't. And so
go see the original. It's much better.
And so the knock on Hollywood right now is that it is full of reboots, remakes, and sequels.
Yeah. And that's another question. Is a sequel a remake?
Depends on what it is. A lot of people looked at Force Awakens and said that was just a rebooted New Hope.
Right. Yeah, it's a remake of New Hope.
I personally look
at
it
and say,
argument. I mean, I personally look at it and say it was an echo of New Hope, just like Phantom Menace was an echo of New Hope. But whatever. I mean, it's just what it is. What it is.
I would lump sequels into the remake category.
That's why people, but that's why people are, complaining about Hollywood, is that it's full of, like, right now,
Nothing original.
Nothing original.
It's all derivative.
And we've talked about this. That's why you tend to even lead towards, anime or Asian cinema, because
and video games.
Because they're turning out a lot of, like, original content, which is, like, really, really cool content. And then here's what I was going with this. The remake and reboot thing is not something that just happened in the last 20 years.
No, it's been going on, since Hollywood started.
Yeah.
I mean, the Maltese Falcon was a it was an adaptation of a Dashiell Hammett book, but the Maltese Falcon was filmed before the famous Humphrey Bogart one.
Right. But
The Wizard of Oz, there was a version of that before the famous Technicolor one.
Well, to me, I go back to Fistful of Dollars. Like, that's the one. Like,
Fistful of Dollars is a remake of Yojimbo.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, how old was that? That 1937? No, that's not right.
No, I mean,
when was Fistful of Dollars?
Fistful of Dollars was in the early '60s.
'60s.
And the Kurosawa movie was in the '50s.
Okay.
So I mean, they were a few years apart, not a lot.
But Hollywood has had a tendency of pulling older properties like that from. Across the ocean,
right?
Either from France or Japan or what, you know what I mean? Like they've been pulling.
Yeah, Hollywood they'll do that. They'll remake it for an American audience, an English-speaking American audience.
So it's not a new concept to remake and reboot properties.
And it's interesting because this year a foreign film, Parasite, won the Oscar. Normally, if a movie like that would might win Best Foreign Film,
right,
and then a couple years later an American English language version would come out. But this year they switched it up, and a foreign movie actually won.
Right.
But yeah, that's the formula that we've seen for years.
Mm-hmm.
You get these Hollywood remakes of foreign films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you have a couple like remakes that are kind of at the top of your list?
So I'm really big on seeing the original. I'm more of an advocate for the original. I would encourage people to see it in the foreign language. Like Spike Lee, he tried to reboot. He did a remake of Old Boy.
Old Boy, yeah.
And the Korean version of that is so much better.
Is it really?
It's amazing.
Okay,
it's amazing.
But forget even. I mean, don't, if you've got American remade films from a foreign property, great. But even think about remade American properties that stand out in your mind. Is there anything that they've remade at this point
in America?
Yeah, in America, like an American property.
The Departed.
Departed was one of them. To me, that's like at the top of my list.
Yeah, I mean, Scorsese nailed it.
Yeah.
That was originally a Korean television series. The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon.
True Grit.
True Grit. I mean, that's an adaptation of a book. I mean, the book existed before either one of those movies.
But you had the John Wayne movie, and then you had the Jeff Bridges movie.
Yeah.
And I really like that Jeff Bridges movie.
But those are adaptations of a book.
But the Jeff Bridges version is a remake of the John Wayne movie.
But they're adaptations of a book.
Well, there's so much stuff comes from a book. Like I'm not going to sit there and try to like blur the line between like what came from a book early on versus.
But that's why we need to have like a common language. We need to define these things before we have the conversation.
Well, okay, so define it. So this is. I told you my definition is any IP. A reboot is any IP that already exists that they are. They're just using that IP, that name. No, like doesn't necessarily have to be main characters, and it's just you basically like Ghostbusters again is the prime example of a reboot, completely new cast, completely new story.
To me, it has to start as a film in order for it to be a remake of a film and not an adaptation. The original has to be a film, like Ghostbusters. The original was a film. It wasn't based on an intellectual property. It wasn't based on a comic book. It wasn't based on a book. It was a film, and they rebooted that film.
Okay.
It didn't start as a different intellectual property. I think that has to be within the definition of the reboots and the remakes versus adaptation.
Yeah, I disagree.
Because I mean, I poked holes in your Tim Burton theory just by pointing out that Batman Begins was an adaptation of a Frank Miller graphic novel. It's not its own intellectual property.
Okay, so let me. Okay, that's fine.
That can be rebooted or remade because it didn't start as a film.
I get what you're saying, but from an industry standpoint, when they are rebooting a franchise like Batman, that's the way they name it. They say we are rebooting that franchise because we're taking that IP, that name, that Batman name, that Bruce Wayne name, and saying and all the villains that go with that particular IP, and we're rebooting it. We're not going to give them the same origin stories.
They've been doing that in comic books since the beginning of comic books.
I get that.
But they've been the comic books have been going on since the 30s and 40s, and they've rebooted that character. There's still been Batman comics, but they've rebooted his origin story multiple times in that run of the comics.
I get that, and I understand. I mean, comic book movies and comic book properties are kind of the sticky wicket with these things because of that. But because they take those characters down, they have so many different authors, right, that take that IP and they kind of split them and do their own things.
Yeah, and they've been doing it for decades.
But that's where I still I feel like you have to take written out of it. Like you have to, because of that, you have to remove the written side of it out of the idea of a reboot and remake, because you have those types of issues that pop in where you can constantly say, well, that's an adaptation or whatever.
Yeah, because they are.
Well, but no, okay, they are, but that still doesn't change the fact that it's not that IP has not been rebooted with a different.
But it's been rebooted in other mediums.
Because you know what I'm saying? Because even the the Batman movie, the Tim Burton Batman movie is the same IP. It's still the same intellectual property.
There was a movie in the 60s starring Adam West.
Right. So you would consider Batman is a reboot. Fine. I'm fine with that.
According to your theory.
I'm fine with that.
Or your definition.
I'm fine with that. I would.
It's a remake.
I would totally
a remake of the Adam West.
I would totally call it a reboot then.
Okay.
I would totally call that.
In my mind, it's easier to think of a reboot for television series. They reboot television series all the time. Like if you think about the MacGyver's like a rebooted TV series. It's easier to think about television properties, television intellectual properties as reboots as opposed to movies.
No.
And especially comic book movies, because they are adaptations.
Well, they're kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, not even all of them though, because you look at even what they did in the Marvel movies, and they were borrowing so many different things from different comic book runs or blurring the lines between certain characters. They were bridging.
Thor Ragnarok is an adaptation of the graphic novel Planet Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
It's an adaptation of that.
Yeah, but there was also a Thor Ragnarok.
That's what I'm saying. The movie Thor Ragnarok.
No, there was a comic book run that had that same storyline.
I don't know about that one.
But see my point, though?
The one I read is Planet Hulk, and it's the one where
they did
Hulk is in charge of this planet.
They did a gladiator type thing.
Gladiators.
I get it. And again, to me, that's all they did was they basically took the idea of a gladiator type Hulk and just shoved him into this story, so they didn't have to do a Planet Hulk later. You know what I'm saying? That's, I don't know if I call that an adaptation, but because it's not from a direct source. They just took elements of that. But that's where I just feel like you got to take your movies and your TV. And I think you have to separate those and say, this is what we're making and remaking or rebooting, right? Mm-hmm. So to your point about Batman, yes, I completely had forgotten about that they made a movie version of that Adam West Batman. So realistically, the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton Batman is a reboot of the franchise. That's what it is. They took the same villains, the same main character, and the same IP and said, we're going to reboot it, make it darker. We're going to do what we want to do with it. Change his origin stories, change his history, change whatever we want to. It's our property to do with at that point. That's a reboot. We're not remaking it shot for shot, same storyline, like a True Grit, as an example, right? Where that is I understand that it came from a book, but they are using the same characters, the same story,
but they didn't.
They didn't from the John Wayne one?
No, I mean it's the same character. It's Rooster Cogburn who has this little girl with him that he has to take from point A to point B.
Uh-huh.
But in the John Wayne version, he did not get along with the little girl at all. Like, he hated her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awkward. It was like a very awkward relationship.
Okay.
And it wasn't the same thing in the Jeff Bridges version.
Yeah.
Like, he was...
I felt like he was kind of that way with her in the Jeff Bridges version. But I don't know.
It's an adaptation of the book. Both of them are.
Well, that's fine. Like I said, I would consider True Grit, the Jeff Bridges version, a remake of the John Wayne movie.
I wouldn't. I would say they're both adaptations of a book.
I think, yeah. I mean, that's okay. You got to take the book out of it, because you just have to.
You can't. That's the original intellectual property. Whereas, Ghostbusters started out as a film. It wasn't based on anything. It's a film that can be remade or rebooted.
Okay.
It originated as an original movie.
Okay. I mean, I don't...
It popped out of the ether. It didn't, it wasn't adapted from a book. It wasn't adapted from a comic book. It wasn't adapted from a radio show.
Okay,
It wasn't adapted from Saturday Night Live.
All right. So by your rationale, then anything adapted from a source doesn't fall into any category between a reboot and a remake.
Yes.
So
correct.
Hollywood isn't overloaded with reboots and remakes.
It is.
Not according to you.
But it is.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, this is the same circle.
It's not original properties. It's not original intellectual properties.
It's not okay. Okay.
They just keep redoing the same stories over and over.
Look, I'm giving you the industry standard. Okay.
Sure.
The industry terminology of a reboot is taking an IP, an established IP, and making it your own. That's what a reboot is. A remake is taking that IP and saying we're actually going to create the exact same thing that was already created. That's
Sure.
a remake versus a reboot. You absolutely have to,
because then what about
because you're
A Star Is Born?
You're chasing your tail. That would be a remake.
A remake, yes, I agree.
Yeah,
because it was based on
original movie with who was in that?
I mean, it's been remade twice.
That's right.
There was a version in the 40s, a version in the 70s, and a version a few years ago.
Right, I forgot about the other one.
Those are remakes.
Yeah,
they weren't based on a book.
Right.
Those are remakes of a film.
Mm-hmm.
Not an adaptation of a book.
Mm-hmm. So by that
popped out of somebody's mind as a movie.
So right,
not as a book that somebody else adapted into.
So how far do you take books? Short stories?
Yeah.
So short stories are considered an adaptation.
Absolutely.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
No, I'm not. Short stories make great movies.
I don't disagree, but I personally look at it and I say RoboCop was a completely different story than what Philip K. Dick decided to do, or not Philip K. Dick. Yeah. No, who did that one? Who did RoboCop? Or am I thinking of Total Recall?
I thought it was that Verhoeven.
No. The guy that wrote the original short story.
I didn't know RoboCop was based on a short story.
Maybe I'm thinking of Total Recall. I'm thinking of Total Recall.
Total Recall's a Philip K. Dick.
Yes. Thank you.
So you consider the Colin Farrell movie a remake of the Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I consider it a reboot.
A reboot.
Yes.
Not an adaptation of a novel.
Not an adaptation of the original source material.
Okay. I disagree.
That's fine. What do you know?
Yeah, you're right. What do I know? And perhaps the industry standard is wrong, and they need to work on their definitions a little better.
Well, don't get me wrong. I said out of the gate that the lines are so severely blurred already.
Yeah.
And I gave an example. I personally don't feel like we need to be stirring that pot anymore by introducing this idea, this extra ingredient of, okay, if it's an adaptation from a particular source material, then it's no longer considered a reboot or a remake.
Yeah, I mean, where did the term reboot come from?
I don't know.
It came from computers. It's a fairly recent term.
Right.
So, I mean, and it's a term that came from computers. I mean, what happens when you reboot a computer? What happened to the computer that made you need to reboot it? It crashed, right?
Or you just decided you needed to start
You
fresh.
ran the story into a wall. The movie crashed.
Sure, we'll go with that analogy.
You need to reboot it.
Okay, we'll go with that analogy.
I mean, that's where the terminology came from.
Okay. So if a movie hit a wall or stopped working or needed to be refreshed or whatever, then maybe that's a new term we introduce. Refreshed.
Don't know.
Instead of reboot.
I mean, there's also soft reboots. We can get into that
So
also.
so maybe and
if you want to talk about, if
we
you
do,
really want to get into these,
there is another terminology.
There are other terms we can talk about. if you really want to get more in depth into this conversation,
Well,
we can go there. We can go there.
You know what? Go that way. Let me hear your soft reboot theories. I mean, all I was asking was what your favorite remake was.
Favorite remake?
Or not favorite, but a list of favorite remakes that you enjoy.
Okay, so films that have had prior versions
That they're no, because other films that have prior versions can also be reboots.
Sorry, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm being difficult on purpose.
You are.
Yeah.
Why?
For the sake of argument, because I like playing devil's advocate.
I mean,
because I like being a jerk.
I mean, the thing is live for everybody.
Yes.
Again, the thing is just, you know, it's I'm defining what's reboot versus remake the best I can based off of what the industry is defining it as.
Okay.
And who am I to question what they have been defining reboots and remakes for the last 60 years?
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Right? So that's where I'm basing it.
And sometimes Hollywood terminology doesn't come from Hollywood. Who's to say that the industry needs to be deciding on these definitions? Who's to say that the definitions don't need to come from, you know, film critics in France? You know, why is it the industry standard?
It probably
why does that matter?
It probably did come from the film critics in France. They're probably like, you know, those silly Americans taking our films and remaking them. They came up with it. We came up with Reboot. I guarantee you we came up with Reboot because Hollywood has, in my opinion, has run out of ideas. They're just making sequels and reboots and remakes. That's all they're doing. Yeah. Forget adaptations or whatever. Like
forget my silly definition.
Forget your silly definition. I mean, forget honestly, forget adaptation. Here's the thing: there's so many other stories out there that they could be potentially adapting to film.
Right. You're right.
And instead, they're rebooting old adaptations.
Sure.
Right? Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. It's just the same old stuff over and over. And who's to say that, you know, the same old stuff back in the 1950s wasn't the same stuff from the 1930s over and over? You know, you know what I mean? Hollywood's been recycling properties, you know, for decades.
No, don't get me wrong. There's ones I like. Like
sure.
I like what JJ did with Star Trek and made that, you know, rebooted that franchise.
I would call that a rebooted franchise. I would call that a reboot.
Yeah. I liked
because it's the same characters, but a different event happened in their past that changed who they were.
Right.
And changed who they are now in those movies.
How would you classify Mad Max Fury Road? A sequel or a reboot?
That's a reboot.
It's a reboot.
That's a reboot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that a reboot versus a sequel?
It's the same character, but a little bit different.
Okay, see, I wasn't sure how they changed his past or anything. They never really got into, in my opinion.
I don't think they needed to.
But what made that a reboot versus a sequel?
I don't know. I guess it's the same. It's the same director,
right? Because like I'm thinking of like Mad Max and or like Road Warrior versus Beyond Thunderdome, right? Did those movies connect?
I don't remember.
I don't feel like they did.
I think it's. I haven't seen those movies since like the 80s.
I know, I get it, but my point is like I don't feel like they connected versus like like an Alien or an Aliens, right? Like that is a direct sequel, right?
Yeah.
But
I'd also call it a remake of the original. I'd loop it in. In my definition, I'd loop it in.
Of what?
A remake of an original film property.
Mad Max?
Alien. No, Aliens is a remake of Alien.
It's a sequel.
Yeah, but I'd also loop it into the remake category.
What was that?
It scared me. I don't know.
Things are falling. the house crashing? Oh no!
Is it the dog?
It's the dog.
Is the dog okay?
Leia, I'll get Leia.
Is the dog okay?
Let's go bring Leia in. Oh my God, Leia! What are you doing? Hello.
It sounded
This
like
is what
something.
happens
It sounded
when
like something
we're
was crashed like above my head.
I wonder what. If she
It was the dog at the door.
I wonder if she was scratching at the door.
That's funny.
Leia, dog.
A giant walking carpet.
She wants to get in on this conversation.
I think she wants the M&Ms
She
out of your
wants the
trash.
M&M bag out of the trash. How about a relaunch for Fury Road?
Yeah, I'm down.
Down with that?
Yeah. A Furiosa.
How come nobody likes my refresh idea?
Refresh? I like the refresh idea.
Instead of reboot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who invented that term. And if
I don't
it was
know. I honestly don't know either.
If it was some Hollywood insider or where that term came from.
I don't know either. To your point though, I didn't even think the fact that it's got to be a fairly new term.
It has to be. It came from rebooting your computer.
Right.
Is where that terminology came from. So it's not like that term existed in 1935 or,
right.
1955.
Right.
It would have come about when computers became more popular in the 80s and 90s is probably when that term became
But the term remake
more popular.
has been around forever.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing remakes for a long time.
Right.
Like Maltese Falcon is an example.
Right.
There was a version in the 1930s, and then the Humphrey Bogart one was like early 40s, I believe. But the Humphrey Bogart one is so much better than the one that was done in the 30s, a few years prior to that.
And maybe the audience can help us out here, unless you already know off the top of your head what came first, or I'm sorry, not what came first, the chicken or the egg.
The egg, it had
the
to.
egg.
It couldn't have been the chicken.
But where did the egg come from? No,
we're not lizards.
We're not even going down.
Came from lizards.
We're not even going into Pandora's box. So
lizards with feathers.
Lizards with feathers. Dinosaur. Where did dinosaurs come from? Who knows? Amoebas. West Side Story. Was that a movie first, or was that a play? Or musical?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I don't either. I don't know.
Not sure.
And
but I know Spielberg's doing that.
Spielberg's doing a remake.
Spielberg's doing not
a reboot. A remake.
A remake of West Side Story.
A remake of West Side Story.
I mean, West Side Story is kind of like Romeo and Juliet. So is it an adaptation of Shakespeare?
Oh my God! If you go down that path, I'm just telling you. If you go down that path, there's a lot. Of stuff.
I know. So would you consider Laurence Olivier's Romeo and Juliet the original film before the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes? Would you consider that one a remake or a reboot, or would you consider it an adaptation of Shakespeare?
The Baz Luhrmann one?
Yeah, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Would you consider that an adaptation of Shakespeare, or would you consider a remake of Laurence Olivier's Romeo and Juliet?
Ooh.
I mean, I can keep going with this.
I know, that's the thing. I
can keep going with. I can keep playing with this definition.
I told you out of the gate. This is a polarizing conversation.
Yeah, that's why I'm playing devil's advocate.
There's a lot of to me the way it has been determined and defined, it leaves a lot of gray area. And there are people I literally, in doing research for this podcast, I was looking at lists that had the same movie listed in both categories.
I know.
What the hell? Like, how are you supposed to honestly?
But they're adaptations.
But they're
most of them are adaptations of comic books and movies.
Not Ocean's 11.
You're right. That was a original film back in the 1960s.
That was the one out of all my research that stood out to me, and I said, because it was hitting the remake category time and time again off everybody's list, off Rotten Tomatoes list, off of Collider's list, like off of everybody's list.
Mm-hmm.
It was making a remake list, and I was like, I don't agree with that at all.
Another interesting one, Brian De Palma. He's done a couple remakes. Scarface
And The Thing, right? No, who did The Thing?
Carpenter.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Where was I going with this?
I don't know.
Remakes. I was talking about. Oh my gosh, what's his name? Who was I just talking about? Yeah, De Palma. Thank you.
Brian
De Palma. He's done two interesting remakes: Scarface and Psycho. So Scarface was originally done in the 1930s. It was like a gangster movie.
Correct.
It was like Chicago. It was done in Chicago, I think. It was more about like Al Capone, Chicago style gangsters.
Okay.
Whereas the remake is Cuban cocaine smuggling gangsters,
right.
from Cuba. You know, like
Right.
one's Italian mobsters and one's Cuban mobsters. I mean, where do you blur the lines? You know, from those definitions.
Right.
And then Psycho, Brian De Palma did Psycho, which is a shot-for-shot remake of Hitchcock's Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
Shot for shot, just color, different actors. It's shot for shot the same movie.
I can see that.
So I mean, where do those get placed in these definitions? You know,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you would call them remakes, right? Because they're
yeah. I mean, that's from what I could tell in industry standard research that I was also trying to do.
right.
I think those ones are classified as remakes.
Sure.
And the Psycho one makes total sense. It's a remake. It's like a shot for shot remake.
Right.
But I mean, the Scarface one, they're two completely different examples.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting conversation.
I mean, you just go down the list. There's so many of them. There were ones on the list that I was finding that I had no idea. You know, like and frankly, you know, you don't even care. What was one on my list that I thought was interesting? 3 Men and a Baby.
Really?
Yeah, French film.
Huh. Really?
Yeah, that's the thing. Hollywood took a lot of those old properties, you know, from foreign countries and said we're gonna turn them into Hollywood flicks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're good enough stories. You know, this has a bigger audience if we you know
Americanize it.
Americanize it. Exactly.
Give it the Hollywood treatment.
Yep. See ya, Ryan. You take care, buddy. Thanks for the questions.
Yeah, peace out.
So we've got, you know, reboot wise. Well, again, Pandora's box. We have another Batman.
Yeah.
Reboot.
The Batman.
The Batman. Matt Reeves. The Batman.
Yep.
I mean, is that you're just calling that another adaptation, though?
Yeah, I would call it an adaptation of a comic book IP.
Okay.
That was invented in like the 1930s or 40s. I don't remember when, but something that's existed for a long time and it's been rebooted in multiple forms.
So in your mind,
multiple mediums, that one's been rebooted.
If it hit some kind of print, it's an adaptation. It no longer falls in line of reboot or remake.
In my opinion, yeah. In my definition, in my mind, the picture that I have formed in my mind, it does require that original film to not have been based on a previous intellectual property, such as a radio show, a play, a TV series, a novel.
So, Casino Royale, when it came out, there was a film that came out in the 60s, whatever it was. That came out as a comedy.
Yeah, it's Peter Sellers, Woody Allen,
but still based off of Ian Fleming's story.
Yeah, it's James Bond.
So it's just an adaptation.
But it's a satire. It's more satirical.
Right. So Casino Royale with Daniel Craig is still just an adaptation, not necessarily a reboot of the Bond franchise.
It's an adaptation of Ian Fleming's novel, Casino Royale.
Okay. So when they take a property and they completely change the actor and they modernize it, like a Bond is a prime example of something that they've had to do that over and over and over again.
Adaptations of Ian Fleming's
You just think
novels.
that's adaptations. You don't consider that rebooting a franchise.
No.
You call it adapting the source material again.
In my definition, yes.
Okay.
They're not original films. They didn't pop, poop, puff, poop, pop, poof.
Pop, poop, pop, pop, pop.
They didn't pop into existence.
How many of those were actually based off an Ian Fleming novel, though, other than the main character?
I think there's only a couple that weren't.
Right.
I think Quantum of Solace. I don't think that one. I think that one is I think they took the name from a short story, but I don't think that one's based on one of Ian Fleming's books or novels or whatever.
So, like, if you go back to when they rebooted the Bond franchise again with Pierce Brosnan and GoldenEye, was GoldenEye based off an Ian Fleming novel? Or is the character...
Here's another question I have for you. They tried to reboot the Ian Fleming novels. They had a different writer try and write in his style.
Really?
What would you call that?
Rebooting the novels.
Rebooting the novels.
Right.
So it's been rebooted in other mediums.
Okay. So the novel can be rebooted. But
that was the
movie
that was the reboot.
But a movie that has just the character name
I would consider them adaptations.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All the Batman ones, all the Spider-Mans, all the...
These people think you're crazy.
They think I'm crazy?
Yeah.
I might be. But what do I know?
But what do I know?
Go see them for yourself. Make your own opinions. It's my opinion. Make your own opinion. I am a huge advocate for forming your own opinion.
So it wouldn't be considered rebooted because it's an adaptation of a Stephen King novel.
What's that?
It.
Yeah. I didn't know it was a Stephen King. I thought it was a John Carpenter original.
It? With the clown?
Oh, It. I'm thinking Thing.
Thing?
It. Yeah. It's an adaptation.
It's an adaptation of
a Stephen King novel.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Not a reboot of whoever made the Tim Curry TV miniseries.
God, that was awful. Have you ever gone back and watched it again?
Yeah. There's parts I like.
Really?
Yeah. I like the werewolf part with Seth Green where it's a werewolf.
Yikes!
I like that part.
I heard that I read that they're trying to reboot Gremlins.
So that could be done. Gremlins wasn't based on an intellectual property prior to the film.
They could all be done. There's nothing that prevents them from making the movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just because of your weird definition between,
it's not weird.
It's totally weird.
No, it's not.
It's totally weird.
It makes complete sense.
It does not.
Yes,
It makes
it does.
no sense. It makes no sense.
You can't reboot something that's already been written. They're adaptations of prior intellectual property.
Sure you can. I don't understand why you can't reboot that.
I mean, it's their definitions. If you want, we can talk about, how I feel about words in general. If you would like to have that conversation.
Oh, well, I can tell you how I feel about words in general. I think the English language sucks. That's what I think.
Yeah.
The English language is the worst language on the planet.
Well, I mean, just words in general, they were created by man. They were created by humans to point at things for it to mean something to us. I mean, do you really think the universe cares if we call it a reboot or not? They don't care if we call, a dog a dog. You don't care if they call you a man or a Zach. It doesn't matter. These things are words that we created.
Right.
Yeah. They're meaningless.
But if we didn't have words, then I would be sitting here on this microphone going,
Well, I mean, humans had to invent them, but they are an invention.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your point?
My point is,
please get to your point.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the definition is. Words have meaning because we build stories around them.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
The word wouldn't have meaning if we didn't have a definition and we've built stories around it for thousands of years. A word would not have meaning.
Right. I've said that all about curse words all the time.
Well, I mean, curse words are interesting because they have a history.
Right.
They didn't just pop it out of thin air. They have definitions. They have histories.
Right.
People,
they were created by man.
They were created
by man in a connotation that said this is going to mean something this way.
Yes.
No different than any other word meaning one thing or another. Right.
Yeah.
Just like a reboot versus a remake, or versus an adaptation, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, words are just air.
But
they're fun to play with. They're things, but it really doesn't matter.
But I guess this has been my point all along. For simplifying this conversation, you have to just have to drill down the idea of a reboot versus a remake in its simplest form, because when you start, and this is what I kept saying, when you start introducing this idea of adaptations, or start looking even at other films that were loosely adapted from
those
this,
are innate in the definition. They exist within the definition
of a reboot.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. You can't remake a movie that has been adapted from Shakespeare.
You can't remake a movie that's been adapted from Shakespeare?
No, I mean you can't say Laurence Olivier's Romeo and Juliet.
Remake by definition means you can remake it.
So you're saying that Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet is a remake of Laurence Olivier's?
No, I'm going by your definition of words, that the term remake means exactly to be remade, which is exactly what was done.
They're adaptations.
Okay, so but again, by definition, the term remake is being remade.
So you don't see the difference between the two Romeo and Juliet examples and the two Psycho examples?
Do I see a difference between those two examples?
Yeah. In your mind, that doesn't matter.
That
one's a shot-for-shot remake, and one is an adaptation of Shakespeare.
I would say,
and another's an adaptation.
Yeah,
of Shakespeare.
the Baz Luhrmann one's interesting because of the stylistic way in which he did it, where it wasn't shot for shot, whatever. So I don't know if I'd call it a remake. Would you? And you were saying you're just calling it an adaptation. You don't want to give it a brand.
They're adaptations.
See, I'd probably more go reboot. You know what I mean? Because it was taking that IP and saying I'm going to make it my own, whereas opposed to a remake is saying.
But that term didn't exist when Laurence Olivier made.
No, it existed when
it didn't exist when Baz Luhrmann made those films.
It was only in the 90s.
Yeah, it was in the 90s, but did we talk about rebooted films in the 90s?
No, I'm not saying. No,
we didn't.
No, honestly, probably at that point, they were probably classifying it as
this is a new term that has not been defined clearly.
Oh, no, you're not. You're not wrong there. I'm not disagreeing with you there. The idea, honestly, it probably wasn't even considered a reboot or a remake at that time. It was probably just considered Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet.
Adaptation.
No, not adaptation.
Shakespeare's
Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. That's what it was considered.
It's an adaptation.
I'm just telling you, like that's what it was considered at that time. And the same thing can be applied to stuff, nowadays. We throw a term on something because it does make more sense to us now, right? I mean, you said it yourself. We
slap a label on things. So
slap
you can
a label on it.
We have something.
We have the words now to emphasize a point. And so because we have that particular word in our arsenal to use, it's going to be applied to that particular property. And the idea of taking an IP and saying this intellectual property, we're going to take the name, but we're not necessarily going to follow your blueprint, right? That's a reboot. But if we take that intellectual property and say we're going to completely follow your blueprint, that's a remake. I feel like that's the simplest way to define it and the easiest way for people to digest. Because if you start adding in a bunch of ideas of, well, that was based off a short story or potentially based off a short story, because then now you're chasing your tail too, like figuring out, well, was that movie ever based off of something else? And then you start throwing in the ideas and opening Pandora's box and saying, well, but such and such movie was also very similar and had similar, tropes that were, in this other movie.
But to my studied mind that I've, educated myself with and through, I enjoy that aspect of making these definitions and going through that process that you just said is a pain in the ass. I enjoy that. My analytical mind enjoys that.
Right. Okay. Well, fair enough. So, 80s movie that you don't want to be. Did you ever give me one? Oh, you said Back to the Future.
Yeah. BTTF.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Or Return of the Jedi. I don't want to see a remake of Return of the Jedi.
Well, I again, those are movies. Frankly, those are movies I feel like are just untouchable. You know what I mean? Like they're at least you would hope. You would think. The rumors going around even right now saying that they were going to reboot the
7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, it's just maddening to me.
I've heard that BS.
Like y'all need to just stop. Just give it up. It wasn't the sequels that you thought you needed or wanted or had built up in your mind of how it would go. Frankly, because you had a bunch of stuff that had come out over the years, which is also an interesting discussion to have, because you had all of these expanded universe properties put in books and everything like that, and there were little hints of them borrowing little things from those. So, do you consider some of these, moments in Star Wars adaptations? You know what I'm saying? Like there
Remakes.
were remakes.
Remakes.
What?
Sequels are looped in as remakes.
Sequels are looped in as remakes.
Looped in.
How's that? How? By definition, a sequel and a remake are two totally different things.
I would loop a sequel into a remake.
How?
It would be in the definition of remake.
But it's not. So how are you looping that in your mind palace? How are you coming up with the fact that you're merging the word sequel and the word remake?
That's a great question. You've got the same characters, right? And they're basically doing the same thing that they did in the original.
Okay.
Yeah, you have the same characters going on an adventure.
Well, okay.
It's not a reboot. They're not completely changing all those characters around.
Right. So
they're not giving them a different origin story.
Right. But it's a continuation of the story.
Yeah.
Hence a sequel.
And also a remake.
It's not that's by definition that doesn't make any sense. Like absolutely, like that makes no sense at all.
But how does it make sense that Laurence Olivier and Baz Luhrmann's films are considered remakes?
Because that story stopped.
That
story had
adaptations of Shakespeare.
But that movie's story stopped by the end of each one of those, right?
Yeah.
Where like a Star Wars, as an example, that's a continuation of the story.
I mean, that movie stopped. That film had a stopping point.
But it's still a continuation of the story.
But the original one still had a stopping point.
Okay, so just so I'm clear on this, just so everybody listening understands, you are calling A New Hope, you're calling Empire Strikes Back a remake of A New Hope.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
It's looped in.
By definition, you are incorrect.
But show me the definition.
Okay, I will. I'll be happy to look up the definition of sequel versus the definition of remake.
No, I want you to.
No. That's what you're saying. So that's what we're gonna do. Remake definition. Okay.
No, like and specifically movies and prequels. I will loop prequels into the remake category as well.
You would loop the prequels in the remake category. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I would.
Sequel.
Just Google the question: is a sequel a remake?
Where is if Google was a guy?
If Google was a guy, ask him this question:
okay, so,
is a sequel a remake?
Okay, is a sequel? I'll just Google. If Google was a guy, is a sequel a remake? Okay. One that just popped in my head that like completely blows like this. Not blows, but encompasses everything that we've just discussed. Is Sam Raimi's?
I know. Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
The remake, Evil Dead,
is the sequel. I see why you're going down this path now.
The reboot.
I see now why you're going down the path. I think that one stands out. I think that's an anomaly. Like you've got your sequel movies here, you've got your remakes here, and then you've got Sam Raimi's movie somewhere over here in a flow chart. Let's see. Trying to find something that actually, because everything just keeps popping up with definitions like sequel. Sequel is a work of literature, film, theater, television, or music, video game that continues its story. I mean, that's basically what I said earlier.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not discounting that.
And then
but I would also consider it a remake, a continuation and a remake.
And a remake as a noun is a movie or whatever movie music TV, blah, 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 that has been filmed or recorded again. So there you go.
Okay.
That's how old Webster defines it. I couldn't find your exact Google. The Google guy was like,
I know.
The Google guy was like, you're out of your mind. Like, he threw his papers down on the ground and left the building. He was like, this is not happening.
They don't like the way my mind works.
Get out. That's all he said. He just simply said, get out.
Go away. Take your stupid questions with you.
Again, like I said, I'm giving you a bunch of crap about it, but honestly,
and that's what I'm doing to you. I'm giving you a bunch of crap.
It honestly is a gray area. Like, there is a huge gray area with this particular topic, and that's why nobody can settle on it. The one fact is that a lot of people can settle on is this idea that Hollywood is currently overrun with either adapting the same material again and again,
unoriginal material,
or rebooting it or remaking it, or sequels, right?
Yeah.
Unoriginal material. Borrowing, I mean, again, people have been borrowing things from different novels and stories since they started putting things on. People borrow, the way you sit down and write a screenplay is more times than not, you're borrowing from your own life experiences or whatever, or things you've seen, things you've witnessed, things you've felt. Mm-hmm. Everybody's borrowing something from somewhere to be creative. Like, that's how
everything's been done before.
Creativity works.
Everything's already been done before. What makes it creative is when you take two things that used to exist as two separate things and you mash them up in a new way. That's what makes something original. Sure.
Yeah, we can do that and just hope that nobody else has ever done it before, or then you find out a month later somebody did.
Exactly.
Do you remember the year that I think within like a month of each other, Armageddon and Deep Impact both came out?
Yeah. Yeah, they were like basically the same story. Asteroid's going to destroy Earth.
I mean, like, what the hell? Like, that was one of those ones. I'm just curious which, again, the chicken or the egg thing, which came first in that scenario. Who was already making their movie before the other person decided we're going to make that movie and didn't know the other property was making that movie and went, oh, God.
We have these two big tentpole movies coming out the same year.
Jiminy Christmas. And I remember there being, like, even a line drawn in the sand on those two movies with people, like, they were either on the Deep Impact side or they were on the Armageddon side. Like, it was wild to see back in the 90s when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing is with all of these terms, whatever you want to call them. There's nothing original. Hollywood just keeps turning out the same thing over and over.
It feels like it, or they're frankly, or they're adapting.
Like they're scared. They're afraid to try new things. They have these formulas. They know these formulas work.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep using this same Hollywood formula over and over and over.
Yeah.
Instead of trying new things.
Yeah. It's been a while. Definitely been a while since we've seen something out of Hollywood that was, totally original or felt totally original.
Yeah, something you've never seen before, something that just blew you away.
Yeah. I mean, even frankly, even Parasite to me still felt a little like it was an interesting movie. It was a great, social commentary, but it was to me it wasn't anything out of like the box. You know what I mean? Like, it was pretty straightforward flick. Made you have some hard choices. Personally, I kind of thought his other movie, Snowpiercer, was actually kind of an interesting, original idea. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if it was an original idea, but it felt like original idea.
It's post-apocalyptic. I mean, those stories have been done before.
Right. But as far as being based off of something, I don't think it was.
That's where you take the two separate things. You got post-apocalypse and you got a trade, and you mash them up. You got something original. See what I'm saying?
Sure. And then it worked. Yeah. Flight of the Navigator is also on the list to be redone. I don't like that.
Yeah,
Escape from New York.
It's been a long time since I've seen those.
Escape from New York is on the list to be redone.
Yeah, why? There's no need for that.
I don't get.
Go see the original.
I just don't get it. I don't understand. Oh, this was the other one that I was like, oh my God, how dare they? Memento.
Memento?
Yeah. and Christopher Nolan has nothing to do with it.
Why?
Exactly.
No need.
I don't understand just go find something else. come up with, I've got ideas, you've got ideas. Like, I know there's a ton of other stacks of screenplays sitting out there that are more original than doing it. But the problem is Hollywood is so damn gun shy on trying to come up with original ideas. And that's where indie films really come into play. Like, they have outlets still for original films. What was the movie called that had Daniel Radcliffe where he was Swiss Army Man? Did you ever see that?
I did, yeah.
Oh my God, what a great original idea.
Yeah.
It was fantastic,
Yeah,
but
using his flatulence to jet ski across the ocean.
It was fantastic. but movies like that don't get the publicity they need. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't get the studio backings because they're not guaranteed. And the thing is those movies don't make a ton of, or they don't cost a ton of money to make. Is my point. And so they can really capitalize if they actually put some marketing behind these films. Mm-hmm. But it still requires people like us to go out and see them. I mean, obviously pre-pandemic, but to still go out and see them and give them, some justification of being made. Mm-hmm. But part of it too is like you need the studio backing so they hit more theaters. So you're not searching for ways to find it. It doesn't need to be a scavenger hunt to try to find these films. They need to be made available to you,
right,
in a much easier form.
I agree.
And right now they're not being done that way. Right now it is a scavenger. I mean, again, pre-pandemic, it is a scavenger hunt to try to find these original films. And so you're not being just, bombarded with remakes and reboots and adaptations of adaptations and everything else and sequels and I really don't need another Mortal Kombat movie. I don't need a Mortal Kombat movie that is, that's rebooting the movie franchise. That's saying...
I've actually been playing Mortal Kombat 11 lately.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring that up because the Mortal Kombat 11 is very cinematic.
Really?
Yeah. Interesting stories. And they actually have movie characters in it.
Nice.
It has the Terminator, Arnold's Terminator's in it.
Yeah.
RoboCop, like Peter Weller's RoboCop,
right,
is in it as a playable character.
I've heard that they've done that. Like they've had like Jason Voorhees has like been like a character in those games recently, and maybe like Predator or Alien, one of the two or something like that. Like they're having some fun with it at this point. But yeah, James Wan is rebooting, the way they're calling it, rebooting the Mortal Kombat franchise. And I think I hear that more than anything when it's a franchise, as opposed to just a singular movie. Like, we're going to reboot this singular movie that you can construe as an adaptation, right? I think I start hearing the reboot phrase thrown around more when they're trying to start up a new franchise. Like, they're trying to breathe life back into something that will spawn new sequels off of that new story, like
that
Star
new
Trek,
IP.
Right? So like Star Trek, where they, the Kelvin timeline now is, with the Chris Pine Kirk is, skewed the timeline and gone this way, and they're going to base sequels off of that one, as opposed to, and those sequels end up themselves becoming rebooted sequels, like the whole thing where they had Benedict Cumberbatch
as Khan.
What did he call him in Between Two Ferns? I
don't know. I'm a cumber bitch for Cumberbatch.
It's a Benedict Flapper Patch or something like that. Like he could never get Cumberbatch's name right. Like the entire, you never watched Between Two Ferns movie on Netflix?
It's
just been a while. Like I just can't think of what he called him.
I think we talked about it on the show once,
Benedict,
and I went and watched it again.
Benedict Caberpatch or something. Like he had like some messed up name for him.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I've heard them called different things.
Yeah,
Bandersnatch.
Yeah, Bandersnatch. I mean, here's again, penguin. He can't say the word penguin.
Really?
And so
That's
Disney
funny.
hired Benedict Flapperpatch to voice or do the narration for their nature movie Penguins.
Really?
Not knowing
he can't say penguin,
and he didn't even know it. They just wanted his voice, and so all of a sudden he shows up on day one to start narrating Penguins.
That's funny.
And he could never get it out, and it was like, how did he say it? It was like Penguin, or something like that. Like he couldn't. Hold on,
that's hilarious.
I'm looking it up because we're playing that.
That's hilarious. So did they replace him?
No,
Did they just replace that sound of the penguin sound?
they left it in.
They left in the weird
They
penguin
left it
sound.
in.
Interesting.
Saying, literally, I typed in Benedict Cumberbatch saying, and it pops up penguin. Like, it is not a thing. Here, let's play a little.
Hilarious.
Let's play a little bit of it. Hold on. Let's see if we can get this on the microphone.
Is penguins, crested penguins, parent
Penguins.
heading home. So why are these woodlands so attractive to penguins?
Penguins. Penguins.
That's
That's what it was. Penguins.
Penguins. Who's penguins?
Penguin winglings.
Wow.
You
That's
could never
awesome.
say it. And so, like, the whole movie's like that. If you watch Disney's Nature, penguins.
I have to see this now.
Disney Nature's penguins.
I'm
Penglings.
like, you need to do this as a drinking game. Every time he says penguins,
You take a
you
drink.
take a drink. Every time he says penguins. Penguins.
Yes, penglings drink. Oh my God, yes. That's so metal.
Oh man.
Penglings. Oh my God. Anyway, him as Khan and everything like that. They rebooted it. They they're going down that path. I like, again, the thing is like, even though it's not a really original, I still enjoy it and I still like it and I'm happy they made it. I just also still, for every one of those, there's still the Ladybirds I like to go see. You know what I'm saying? Like I still like those original
Shersha.
Yeah, Shersha. God, it took me forever to figure out her name.
I'd like to hear Benedict Cumberbatch say Shersha.
He can say that. Her last name was Penguin, though. My God. Shersha Pengling. Poor Shersha.
Yeah.
Shersha. I don't know. Anyway. God, you look at her name. There's no way you get Shersha out of that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't even want to.
No. Sairouse or something like that.
Yeah,
It's like
I don't
something
remember.
Weird.
Yeah.
Come on, Hollywood. Get your act together. You make up names all the time. Shersha. Get it right. Is the Crow reboot dead?
I don't know.
With
I didn't know they were trying to do that again.
Jason Momoa?
Jason Pingling?
Jason Pingling. They were trying to do that. And I don't know if they ever went down that path or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know they were trying to reboot that one.
Lightning Round. Okay.
Lightning Round. Okay.
And if you haven't seen it, just say pass.
Okay.
So give me a liked it, hated it,
Okay.
or pass.
Okay. Yeah.
These are remade is the way I'm going to put it, or refreshed, or whatever. Examples. Unoriginal examples.
Hollywood material.
Unoriginal examples. You ready?
Yeah.
Hellboy.
Didn't see it. Pass.
The Mummy.
Don't care to see it. Don't want to see it.
Okay. And again, these are all the most recent versions, right? This is what I'm going for, all the most recent versions. So.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to reboot that whole monster thing around that
it was
Tom
awful.
Cruise.
It was so bad. Like they
were trying to reboot that whole Universal monster. They wanted
universe.
Like Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon. They were trying to reboot all those.
Yep, all leading down to Van Helsing, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they screwed that pooch. Like they had Universal, like they had offices, they hired staff, like that was what they were going to do. They were just going to do a bunch of a whole series, and no sir, that movie was not good. And I think they had started it with the Dracula reboot with what's his name, Luke, was it Luke Evans that did that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so the Mummy, okay, so Tomb Raider.
I haven't seen it. Pass.
Man, you haven't seen any of these. Okay.
I don't want to.
Wow.
Don't care to.
See, here's the thing, like even like any of these, like I'll still give them a shot. I'll still give these things a shot. I probably won't like them, but I'll still give them a shot.
I'm all about the originals, man.
Fantastic.
Go watch it in French. Go watch it in Korean. Go watch it in Japanese.
I don't think they have Tomb Raider in French.
Go play the video game. Don't see the movies. Play the games.
Go play the games. I finished Shadow of the Tomb Raider, by the way.
That's the one that's like a big snowy mountain at the end.
No, that's Rise.
Okay.
So you had Tomb Raider. So they rebooted Tomb Raider, and back on the PS3 with They called it Tomb Raider, and then they did Rise of the Tomb Raider on. It was an Xbox exclusive, which I think you played Tomb Raider on PS3, and then when they made it an Xbox exclusive or PS4 or whatever it was, then they made it an Xbox exclusive. You kind of got irritated and you didn't play Rise.
I played the first one and the second one.
So you did play Rise. You
Yeah.
ended up playing Rise. Okay.
When it came to PlayStation.
Oh, when it came to PlayStation. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But didn't like it as much as the
Yeah.
first one.
And then they came out with Shadow hit a couple years ago, and I had never played it, and so I finally decided to play it just recently, and I finished it the other night, and it was good. That game was fun. That game, all those. I've been a big Tomb Raider fan since the first one on the original PlayStation, but those games are fun. And so anyway, Fantastic Four.
Like the Michael B. Jordan one?
Yes.
It was terrible.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Man of Steel.
Terrible.
Okay.
That's the Bryan Singer one, right?
Yeah. No, that's
the Snyder.
the Snyder one.
Oh, I did like the Snyder one. I
You
didn't
like Man of Steel.
Yeah, I didn't like
You didn't
the Bryan
like
Singer.
Superman Returns.
Yeah, I didn't like the one that
Which again,
Brandon
that's
Singer left the
again,
X-Men series.
that's a sequel. You know what I mean? Because they it's the way they even play it off. It's a continuation of him leaving and all this stuff.
Yeah, and that's interesting. They've done that a couple times where they've done a couple sequels recently that it was Halloween. They did a direct sequel to the original and just acted like those other 10
happen.
movies never happened. I thought that was awesome.
Yep.
And I said there was another movie like that. I forget what it was. But it just completely ignored. Oh, Terminator.
Terminator.
Yeah, they just completely ignored like 3 Terminator movies and just did a direct sequel to T2.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
It was not good.
I liked it.
Did you?
I didn't think it was horrible.
It was all right. I don't know.
I didn't see it in theaters. I waited until it was a cheap movie on iTunes.
Me and a buddy went and saw. We were pretty jacked about going to see it. And,
Were ya?
Yeah, and frankly, the best part of that movie is the first 10 minutes or the first 5 minutes or whatever, where it completely shocks you when all of a sudden he shows up and blows John Connor away. You're like, what? Frankly, like even all oh my God, did you see did I send you the deep fake thing that they did with Han Solo?
I haven't seen it, but I heard about it. They put Harrison Ford in Solo
over Alden's face.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I heard about it.
Weird.
Is it?
That deep fake stuff freaks me out.
Yeah, I saw the Back to the Future one where they put Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland as Doc, and
they're getting so good
Marty.
with that stuff, man. It's scary good how much they're doing. In fact, it was funny because after Justice League came out and they had to go back and fix his mouth, Henry Cavill's mouth. With the mustache deal, somebody went back and showed and did a deep fake of it instead of whoever did the effects, and how much better theirs looked compared to what they spent millions of dollars doing. And this dude did it on his home computer. You know what I mean? And it's just like, first of all, hire that guy,
right?
Second of all, what were you doing? Because the technology is available, but it's kind of scary, like what they're able to do with some of this new technology. It's very creepy. Ninja Turtles.
They're doing another.
No, this is stuff that already came out. So
like the
Michael Bay
the ones
produced
with Rocksteady and Bebop.
Yeah,
and, they were okay. I didn't love them, but I didn't hate them.
I like.
They're not nearly as good as that first one that came out.
The first one was epic. The second one, not so much, and I liked this reboot more than the second, the Secret of the Ooze.
Secret of the Ooze. That makes sense.
And let's not even talk about the third Turtle movie, because that just went completely off the rails.
The samurai one.
Oh my God.
They go to feudal Japan.
Planet of the Apes.
Those are prequels.
You know what? You're not wrong. Yeah, because
those are prequels to the 1960s movies.
You're right. I forgot about that.
But it's unoriginal Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of a sequel. Yeah.
So I liked the first one.
The idea of it, though, was to reboot the franchise. Like, that was the idea of it.
Yeah. I liked the one with James Franco. I wasn't a big fan of the one with Woody Harrelson. And I don't even know if I saw the one after that.
That was the last one.
The Woody Harrelson one was?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had the one with Franco. Franco was the first one.
Okay.
So, forget the Tim Burton one. The Tim Burton one never existed. That thing was just a terrible whatever. So yeah, you had the Franco one, and then what was the one after the Franco one? The Franco was the first one.
I thought it was the one with Woody Harrelson. It was the second one. I could be wrong though.
That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question.
On that Jason guy, whatever his name is.
Yeah, the guy that played in Terminator Genesis.
Yeah. He played John Connor in Genesis, and I didn't mind Genesis. I the ones that they ignored for this new Terminator. I didn't hate those ones. I thought they were passable Terminator movies.
I kind of dug what they were trying to do with Genesis. It was confusing as hell, and like they needed to.
I did see that one on the big screen. I thought that was a fun one to see on the big screen.
Yeah, I felt like they needed, you needed the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Dawn, is that the one with Harrelson?
Gary Oldman.
Gosh, I don't.
Gary Oldman and Jason Clarke. So that was the Jason Clarke one.
That's okay. I've seen that one.
Yeah. So that was the Jason Clarke one, and then the one after that was so you had Planet of the Apes. You had Rise of the Planet of the Apes with Franco. You had Dawn of the Planet of the Apes with Gary Oldman and Kerry Russell and Jason Clarke.
I think I liked that one.
I liked that one too.
I don't remember.
I've liked every Andy Serkis Planet of the Apes. I have not liked any of them. And then you had War of the Planet of the Apes, which had
Woody Harrelson. I remember not liking that one for some reason, but I probably need to see it again.
Gotcha.
To tell you why.
Gotcha. Oh God, what was I saying about? Hell, I can't remember now. I honestly, I had a complete brain fart.
That's okay.
Are you buying or selling? Kong Skull Island.
Skull Island.
Again, there's kind of like
I've enjoyed that one.
Have you gotten into the whole
Godzilla?
Monsters. Yeah, those monster reboots.
I like the
rebooted franchise.
I don't think I've seen all of them, but I liked the Kong
because you had the Gareth Edwards like that Godzilla, right, and then that led into Kong Skull Island. And then at the end of Kong Skull Island, like the coda in that is introducing this idea of a monster franchise. And then you had Godzilla King of the Monsters. Did you see Godzilla King of the Monsters?
I haven't seen that one.
Oh my God. Like that was one I wish I could have seen on the big screen.
Really?
Just big kaiju just beating the crud out. Like I loved that. That was amazing.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
And again, it just opens it up. So now they're doing the next one that they're currently in production on is Godzilla versus Kong.
Nice.
And that's going to be the next film.
Cool.
Can't wait. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah,
I was excited for the King of the Monster one.
I don't know if I ever finished the Godzilla one. I remember enjoying it, but I
with Gareth Edwards.
Yeah,
one?
I remember enjoying it, but I think like I was in a hospital room or something watching it.
Gotcha.
From the hospital room, and I don't think I got to finish it or something like that.
Are you buying or selling the all the Disney remakes that they're doing of their
selling?
Yeah. Sorry, are you sell, get away, I don't want to see them, buying, yes, I cannot wait for all these Disney remakes?
Yeah, I haven't been too excited about any of them, to be honest with you.
Okay. None of them have. I know you said you like Jungle Book, but
yeah, Jungle Book was kind of cool. It was fun.
Gotcha.
Bill Murray as Baloo the bear was fun.
Has there been a horror movie remake that you've liked more than maybe one of the originals? Or a reboot for that matter, however you want to define it.
That's a great question, and there have been a lot of those, a lot of horror.
The horror genre.
That genre probably, in general has a lot of reboots.
Yep.
Yeah. Television series, horror movies. There's a lot of reboots in there.
Yep.
I can't think of a single one that I've enjoyed more. Like Poltergeist, no. Halloween, the Rob Zombie one was fun. The new sequel that Danny McBride wrote, I enjoyed that one. It was good.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what else has been out there. I know they did a Fright Night one, and that was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grudge is out there.
Oh yeah, The Grudge. That one was based on the Japanese version, and they're doing another one, aren't they? They're doing another.
They're getting rid of the Sarah Michelle Gellar one and
rebooting
The Grudge. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
I never saw the original. I never saw the original Japanese one all the way through.
Really.
What was the movie?
Like the Ringu was Japanese original also.
And this isn't horror. John Woo did Face Off, but Face Off is based off almost like a reboot of his, or a remake. I'm sorry, a remake of his The Killer movie. Did you ever see The Killer?
I don't think so.
Okay, I saw that in college in film class, and I thought it was interesting. But they're actually remaking Face Off.
Really?
So they're rebooting a rebooted movie, which is an interesting concept.
Yeah.
But I don't know if John Woo has much to do with it. I think he might be executive producing it. Like I don't think he's
completely fell off the
completely.
face of the earth.
Kind of did.
I haven't heard from him in a long time.
He kind of did. All right. Well, cool. I don't really think I have anything else on my list of reboots that I even really care about. Oh, you know what the other one was that was recent that I really liked was Jumanji.
Did you?
And I consider that a reboot. You know what I mean? Like that is they had the Robin Williams one. I liked it. I didn't love it kind of thing. I loved that rebooted Jumanji.
Did you?
I never saw the sequel though. I never saw the second one.
I haven't seen it either.
Did you see the other one though?
Yeah, it was okay.
They weren't a big fan.
It's okay. I like the Robin Williams one.
All right.
Back in the day.
And you like the Robin Williams one more than the Rock version? Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's more exciting.
Okay.
It's more intense, in my opinion.
All right. Fair enough.
It's a thriller.
It's a thriller.
It's a thrilling ride.
It's a thrilling ride. Be there. All right. Anything else you want to add on the reboot, remake, adaptation discussion?
I think I beat it to death.
I'm bruised. Yikes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think I alienated most of our audience.
They all left. I said deuces. All right, very cool. All right, well then let's get the heck out of here. You're hilarious.
I know.
It's so funny. So funny.
Yeah, I'm an ass. I can't help it.
So, if you want to continue these conversations, please find us on Facebook and leave comments, critiques. Call me an idiot. Call him an idiot.
I am. It's true.
Whatever.
I won't argue with you there.
We will take it. We will totally take it. Where can the kids find you on Twitter so they can tweet bash you?
Yeah, please do. That'd be fun. I'm at the Rut Legend on Twitter.
The Rut Legend on Twitter. And you can find me at Zach M. Rutledge on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.
Peace out.
Peace out. Got to dance. Got to dance on your way out.